Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content.
Hey y'all, hello everybody, hello. This is one of our late night sessions, We are here and happy Friday, and we love to be here. We love the information that comes out. The world is an amazing place, right? But we have some interesting developments. You know, people may not be reporting on it. They may be reporting on it. I mean, where are we at right now? We are here right now because the Epstein emails had been released this week. Once Vervaja, keep misspelling her name, missaying her name. I hate to misspell or say her name wrong. Gravaha, it sounds like it's the right way. Halva, once she signed a petition for the files to be released, that started the ball rolling. Okay. That started the ball rolling. Once they decided that they were going to get the ball rolling, everybody was excited. We're excited. The files are going to be released. Everything is going to be released. We're going to be good. Yes. It sounded good. Let's listen to some commentary about it sounding very good.
Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Hey folks, I'm Rick Wilson, and welcome back to The Elephant in the Room. This week's Elephant in the Room is that secrets sometimes come back from the grave. You obviously know what those secrets are this week. The revelations in this new tranche of emails released by the House Oversight Democrats of Jeffrey Epstein's communications with Ghislaine Maxwell and a variety of other folks, and about Donald Trump in many cases, has caused a political earthquake.
In newly released emails, sex offender Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly discussing Donald Trump, shedding new light on their long friendship, and seeming to suggest Trump had information he never shared. In a 2011 exchange with his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein writing the, quote, dog that hasn't barked is Trump, adding one of his victims spent hours with Trump at Epstein's home, but that Trump has never once been mentioned. Maxwell replying, I have been thinking about that. The emails obtained from the Epstein estate were released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. Tonight, House Republicans and the White House say the victim mentioned was Virginia Giuffre. Trump and Epstein were friends for more than a decade.
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Now, it's not an earthquake you've seen all the impact of yet, but there is something going on right now inside the Republican Party. And since the release of the new emails, the rumor drums inside the GOP have gone nonstop. It has been very difficult for Mike Johnson to keep his caucus from declaring a full-out rebellion on this matter. I am told by a chief of staff to a seated Republican member of the House, they expect 50 to 70 defections on the day of the actual vote. 50 to 70 defections. Guys, that's a quarter or more of the caucus. Donald Trump has held Republicans with a glue, with an epoxy, with an adhesive that has never failed him in the House. Peel off one or two people, and people think it's a freaking miracle. People, you get one guy to say something vaguely critical, like a Thomas Massey, and the world looks at it and says, "My God, the tectonic plates have shifted." But the reason these things from Epstein came back to break the caucus is because they tell you about Donald Trump's character. And I want to be very clear about something. Trump always believed there were three things about the Epstein files. The first, for a long time, he believed that the MAGA media ecosystem had fully convinced his people, his base, his voters, that the Epstein files were about Bill and Hillary Clinton, about George Soros, about Bill Gates, about name your Democratic elected official. And that's because when the Pizzagate story was invented by people like Jack Posobiec and Mike Cernovich, that story spread like wildfire inside the right-wing conspiracy culture. It spread like nothing I had ever seen in my lifetime and became an article of faith among the base. And Trump knew that.
For some reason, Trump could speak to that base. Rumored IQ around 70. So he knew what to say and how to say it. He knew how to reach his viewers. And see, this is what we call gaslighting. People always say they know what gaslighting is. This is gaslighting. What the Republicans have done to the base or the MAGAs. They've gaslighted you. It's an old age trick of psychologists that says if you continue to repeat things over and over and over and over again, people will believe it. Highly skeptical people, like people on the right, a little bit more education, a little bit more critical thinking, they decided, oh no, we're not doing this. We're not believing this bullshit. It's just too far-fetched. But if you really look into it, most of the conspiracy theories run from the right. And they flocked to this Pizzagate answer. And Trump knew it. And he kept repeating it over and over and over again. If you notice, the wording for the Republicans are specific. Let's say these set of words, and then they're going to believe it. And this is what has been happening all since Trump got elected. Make America great again. The Democrats are lefties. Democrats are demons. Democrats are terrorists. Just short phrases that allow you to wrap your mind around it, and then it seeps into it. Now we have a right, a radicalized right that is highly susceptible to these suggestions. So this is where we're at right now.
He knew it. The whole saving the children thing was always a lie. In Trump's case, it would have been save them for me, given his creepiness at the teen beauty pageants and his creepiness about his own daughter, all this stuff, right? But he always believed that myth was what the base would respond to in the end. And I think part of it is that Trump, look, a lot of stuff happened 20, 30 years ago. I don't think his memory is what it once was. I don't think he remembers all the things he and Epstein did together. And there may be that element where when you do something horrible over and over again, and you're a sociopath, and you just forget about it. You don't have to process the guilt if you don't ever remember it or think about it. But he really believed that. The second thing he believed was that if he was back in power, he could use the Department of Justice. And remember the Tom Nichols theory that Trump ran again to stay out of prison and get rich, 100% provable, scientifically locked down. But as we saw him running, you knew what part of this was. He was being prosecuted for crimes he committed. And this particular issue was still out there. Now, Epstein may have been dead, but the New York grand jury and the Southern District of New York were still investigating some of the victims and some of the offenders. They still had a major profile case of high profile, high power, wealthy individuals that they were looking into. Trump knew this. You know, we're at that time of year that's my absolute favorite. Cold mornings, the holiday plans are starting to come together for friends and family. This is a really great time of year for feeling reconnected with folks that you love. And it's one of the reasons that at this time of year, I want my wardrobe to be simple. I want things that look sharp and feel good and things that I actually want to wear. And for me, more and more, that's Quince. You know, the bonus of Quince is not just that it's affordable, but the quality is through the roof. And Quince pieces make phenomenal gifts. This season's lineup is simple but smart and easy with Quince. $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters that feel like everyday luxury.
Prosecutor in Manhattan, a position she's held for nearly a decade. Maureen Comey is known for prosecuting someone you might have heard of, that guy, Jeffrey Epstein, and someone else that you might have heard of, Ghislaine Maxwell, seen here with Jeffrey Epstein. According to NBC News, one source familiar with her termination said the reason given was Article 2 of the Constitution, which outlines the president's powers in the Constitution, including his ability to appoint federal officials.
She is somebody who is really beloved in the Southern District of New York. She's been a advisor of the violent and organized crime units where I worked with her, as well as the public.
Well, we understand why she was fired. She was fired because she was Comey's daughter. Comey is the one who was arrested on charges of fake, trumped up charges against Trump. That's him, and this is his daughter. And she was fired. We understand why she was fired. She was fired for revenge. It is what it is. We get that.
That's being accumulated that will continue to tie Donald Trump to the Epstein files. Now, the shocking thing was that I think even after they took office, Trump still thought he could weaponize these files against his enemies. That is why Pam Bondi was directed. And Pam Bondi, by the way, doesn't take a dump without permission from Donald Trump. She is an automaton. She does not wake up in the morning and say, "What should I wear?" without checking in with somebody at the White House. This is not an independent actor. She is a fully vested employee of Trump Co. But when she was directed to give those binders out to all these window-licking MAGA dipshit influencers, Kyra Rachik, whatever her name is, of TikTok, Jack Posobiec, who turns up like a bad penny.
If you all want your request read, or you want your question read, or you want your statement read, you need to put it in a super chat. Otherwise, don't expect any kind of response.
Over and over again, anything scandalous around the Trump universe these days. Rogan O'Handjob, the DC attorney who thinks he is some sort of like bearded urban warrior. Please. All these people got these notebooks. Remember the Epstein notebooks? Oh, these are the top secret, super secret, influencer only Epstein report. Somebody, I believe it to have been Todd Blanche. I don't know, but I believe it to be because he's smarter than a bowl of pudding, which Pam is not. Remember, she's trainable and obedient, like a dog. She's not a brilliant attorney. Blanche is a little smarter than her. So I think at some point Blanche said, I wonder if we have any exposure. What's in these files? What have we gotten from the Southern District? What's going on? So they deploy 1,000 FBI agents, 1,000 people to review these documents, to go through these files, and to identify every time Trump's name is mentioned. 1,000 people. If you believe they went through that so that they could highlight it and have full disclosure about it, again, I have swampland to sell you. They went through it so they could identify and begin the process of redacting anything with Donald Trump's name in it. What they did not count on was that the Epstein family estate, apparently somebody there has attorneys who understand the rule of law. They have been responsive to congressional subpoenas and inquiries. So they're turning over these emails and these documents. Now, while the Trump folks had a lot of these emails and documents inside the tranches of information that have been derived from the state prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein, the federal prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein, and the federal prosecutions of Ghislaine Maxwell. They have a lot of these emails already. So the secrets from the grave they thought would never come out, suddenly they realized, oh shit. This is why, shortly after Pam Bondi announces that there's nothing in the Epstein files at all, weeks before, Dan Bongino's like, you have no idea the unhuman horror contained in these files and documents. You have no idea.
This post coming in, some calling it cryptic, from the deputy director for the FBI, Dan Bongino. He says, during my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. What I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned.
Suddenly he's like, nothing to say. What? No way. Kash Patel, who spent a lot of 2024 going on podcasts, said, yeah, we got to release the Epstein files. Suddenly it's like, well, what Epstein file? There's no Epstein file. What are you talking about? There's no client. There's no Epstein files. There's no documents. What?
Let's be clear on this. What we have seen currently are the emails from the Epstein estate. These are not the actual files. The actual files are with the FBI, DOJ. They're there. Those contain video and audio tapes, including other confessions, witness statements. Those include those things. These are emails from the Epstein estate, just between Epstein and all of the people that Epstein knew and all of the people that interacted with Epstein. This is what we're finding out. We haven't seen the actual files. The files have to get voted on in order to get released. We're just looking at stuff from his estate, okay? And they're revealing a lot of things, like Trump did know what Epstein did. Trump did know that Ghislaine Maxwell were recruiting women from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago. We do know plenty of things. And people say, well, they want to know about the Clintons. It doesn't really implicate Bill Clinton. It doesn't say anything about that. But it does say something about Hillary Clinton being with a person named Vince. And it does say something about Donald Trump giving a BJ to some male. Okay? There's things in there, but not all of the files. These are not all of the files. These are just emails from the Epstein's estate.
What?
And they were released earlier. They just weren't all the way released.
And then, as the criminal conspiracy to cover this up took on a new era of importance, they knew they had to get to Ghislaine Maxwell. And so Todd Blanche, who is friends with Maxwell's personal attorney, who did a podcast with the guy.
Okay, I want to welcome Todd Blanche to For the Defense. Everybody knows who Todd is, and he's the first guest on For the Defense to appear twice. So welcome to the show, Todd.
That is an honor. Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate it.
Suddenly gets on the FBI jet and flies down to Tallahassee, Florida, where I live, and has a little tete-a-tete with our friend Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted pedophile sex trafficker, Ghislaine Maxwell. Blanche does 2 days of interviews with her. If you read those transcripts, you will come away with two conclusions. One, as George Conway says, that Todd Blanche couldn't cross-examine like a loaf of bread. He was unable to cross-examine her effectively. The second is that Ghislaine Maxwell knew exactly what to say. She knew exactly how to describe Trump. Oh, he was a perfect gentleman. I can hear it in her cut glass RP pronunciation. He was a perfect gentleman. He never was around any of the girls. She knew exactly what to say. Her lawyer prepped her because her lawyer talked to Todd Blanche in advance. If you didn't know the fix was in by the time, Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General of the United States of America, shows up in Tallahassee, Florida, to deal with a pedophile sex trafficker. That ain't his job, by the way. If there were further things to inquire about what she knew or what or information that could be relevant to other investigations, he ain't the guy that goes to get it. You send a line prosecutor.
So they already knew. So they already knew that she knew things. So they came down there. They sent that gentleman down there. They sent him down there to get a confession about something that would clear Donald Trump. Clear Donald Trump. Clearly. So when they went to do the interview with her, why didn't she say Trump knows Trump was friends with Epstein? Why didn't she admit that Trump knew some of the activities that Epstein was doing? Why didn't he admit? Why is her confession of him so clear cut, so clean that it's like Trump didn't know anything? Trump doesn't know what we were doing. She made the confession so clean. If you all don't think that she was prepped and told, you better get this together, you better make sure you make Donald Trump innocent, y'all I got swampland. She made sure to not implicate Trump. It's a cover-up so far. On top of the fact that she gets to go to a minimum security prison. She's doing 20 years, and I have never known anybody who's doing more than 10 or 20 years assigned to a minimum security prison who gets an animal, who gets a dog to play with every day, who gets phone calls when they want them, who gets what kind of food that they want every day, who gets access to internet and library and all kinds of research tools every day. I've never known any prisoner to get those kind of perks. And this is what Ghislaine Maxwell got. Minimum security prison and all of the perks. Why would she need to get all of the perks? Because she knows things about Donald Trump. And he has to put her in a good light. Otherwise, she's going to talk. And let's see how soon it's going to be before he decides that he's going to pardon her. Yeah, we definitely need a vaccine for the goofy zombies in the chat. Definitely need the zombies. Y'all done went too far. Y'all almost dead with your mouth open, working with your arms up. Zombies.
Because again, she is a convicted pedophile sex trafficker. She was the implementer. She was the action officer of Jeffrey Epstein's pedophile sex trafficking ring. She sexually abused hundreds or possibly thousands of young women.
She sexually abused them. She did. I really didn't know that. I just wondered, okay, so this is her girlfriend. This was Epstein's girlfriend, and she was actually sexually abusing the women too? Wow. Okay.
Maxwell were to receive a pardon at some point, what would that mean for you?
You see how people are afraid to talk? Most people think Donald Trump had Epstein take a dirt nap. This is the problem with most people. A dirt nap. And we have seen the reign of terror of this president. Goes after people who do things for him, against him, to his family, to anybody he wants to. If he feels aggrieved, he is going after you. So most people are afraid to talk about these things. Where can you be saved if you can get into prison and give somebody else a dirt nap? Who am I to stop them from giving me a dirt nap? Him ordering me a dirt nap. That's why people are afraid to speak.
It would unwind everything that my sister and all the survivors fought for. It would be a disgrace of justice. It would be picking abusers over survivors again.
That was Cy Roberts, the brother of Virginia Giuffre, a very prominent accuser of Jeffrey Epstein. You just watched it. You just heard it. You can hear the pain, the victims, their families. They are still enduring from Epstein's crimes. Just moments ago, we got this statement from an attorney for numerous victims and survivors on the release today of the transcripts of Ghislaine Maxwell's interview with Deputy AG Todd Blanche. Quote, Ghislaine Maxwell was federally indicted on 2 perjury counts as a result of her testimony during her civil deposition. Having been convicted of sex trafficking, she is now in jail, presumably hoping that she will receive a pardon from President Trump. I can't imagine that her testimony will be given much weight by anyone with any knowledge whatsoever of her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein.
But they had this little interview, and a few days later, before the secrets from the grave of Jeffrey Epstein came popping out to stab Trump, she is shipped off to a federal penitentiary in Bryan, Texas. It's not really a federal penitentiary as you and I might think of one. It is the lowest possible penitentiary. Inmates are allowed to leave during the day. They have yoga classes and tennis courts. Ghislaine Maxwell has unlimited toilet paper, which in prison is a thing, apparently. She's even been given a puppy. A puppy.
Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee have just revealed new information from a whistleblower who alleges Maxwell is receiving special favors at this prison camp, including customized meals personally delivered to her cell, after-hours time in a private exercise area, and access to a service puppy.
I don't know if that sounds like federal prison to you, but it doesn't sound like federal prison to me. 3 hots in a cot, yoga classes, a dog. Shit, I know a lot of Americans will sign up for that right now. But she's still serving a 20-year stretch for being a pedophile sex trafficker. It was illegal to move her to that prison, by the way. The federal prison guidelines forbid that kind of transfer into a low security prison for that kind of inmate. But it happened. And no one from the federal government seems to know how it happened. It's a miracle. It's magically happened.
It's important to keep in mind that Ghislaine Maxwell already was getting special treatment because she was not eligible to be transferred to this minimum security prison camp in Texas from her low security facility in Florida because she's a sex offender. And when we talk to prison experts,
she's a sex offender, and they put her in population with normal people who are willing to go out the door after a year. They only have a year. She's in a low minimum security prison, yet and still they have her over there in this low offense facility because she requested it. She can ask for anything she wants to ask for. Now she wants a pardon. When is Trump going to pardon her? It's not the right time, Ghislaine. It's not the right time, but we're going to look for that pardon. We're going to look for that pardon. This is what this is.
about that, they couldn't think of any other time that had ever happened in modern history.
And when she got there, she started treated like the queen of the prison.
According to whistleblower information that reached House Democrats, she's being waited on hand and foot, as they put it, by staff members of the prison on the orders of the warden. And any staff member or inmate who objects to that, and apparently some have, are being retaliated against. Again, this is according to Jamie Raskin, the ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. As you said, she's getting that special treatment about meals delivered to her cell and access to this service puppy, but also her visitors, relatives and friends who come visit her are getting special treatment. They're being whisked into the facility, according to this letter, around the normal procedures, and they're even being, in some cases, being allowed to bring in computers, which Raskin said raised the possibility that Maxwell was given sort of unfettered, unmonitored access to the outside world, which is not supposed to happen with federal inmates. And this letter says that the warden herself is helping Maxwell prepare an application, a request that Donald Trump commute her 20-year sentence. And
you see that all the special treatment that they have given her, she's getting all of this treatment. All of this treatment. This is supposed to be one of the most highly profiled cases in our history of sex trafficking. She was the linchpin. She was the catalyst to bring the women, to bring the girls not women, mind you, girls. She was the one to bring the girls over to him, over to Epstein. So she found out what they looked like, what their age was, how young they were, how to get them, how to lure them. She was the person who did this. And yet, she's getting special treatment where she is.
Raskin, of course, is saying that should not happen, and he's asking the Justice Department to provide more information about this. I have asked the Justice Department for comment. They oversee the Bureau of Prisons. I've also asked the White House for comment. We have not heard back from either entity.
The warden's helping her fill out her commutation paperwork. They're talking about what a model citizen she is. They're prepping the deck. They're readying for the story that we all know is coming. She's going to get her sentence commuted or pardoned. It'll do it at the same time as Diddy, so they cause a double cultural clash. But then these emails pop out. And graves keep many secrets, but not all. And this first tranche, and by the way, this is just the first tranche of emails, repeatedly has Trump discussed by Epstein and Maxwell. What do we learn? That he spent time alone with the victims in Epstein's home. What do we learn? He didn't want Maxwell poaching on his private preserve of Mar-a-Lago. What did we learn? That he was still friends with Trump up to 2017, almost a decade after Trump claims they cut him off. They're still.
Yeah, but we know that's a lie. We know it's a lie because Donald Trump had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein in 2018. According to those emails, he cut him off. And this is what a lot of Republicans will point to, that he got cut off from Epstein. But Donald Trump went and had Thanksgiving dinner with Epstein and Ghislaine in 2018. Was it Thanksgiving dinner? Yeah, not Halloween. No, I think it was Thanksgiving. So if he had cut him off and they weren't friends and they had no kind of contact, why would you go to have Thanksgiving dinner with somebody that you didn't like, that you didn't have any contact with? We know you went to have that dinner on Thanksgiving. So you were still friends with this guy. You were still friends. Associating with him, dealing with him. You were doing all that.
Have a relationship.
Doesn't matter. As long as they're under the age of 18, Black America, they're pedophile. Don't come over here caping for no rich pedophile. Don't come over here trying to cape and make a distinction now. Don't do that.
Maxwell and Epstein continue to communicate about Trump in a lot of these different emails. He also talks to Michael Wolff about how to manipulate Trump. He also talks to Michael Wolff about how to make Trump owe him. Now, Wolff is advising him on some of this stuff. That's a separate story. We're going to talk about that another time. He's talking with Steve Bannon. While Steve Bannon is working in the White House and Trump is president, Epstein is advising the Russians on how to push Trump's buttons, how to manipulate Trump. At that point, Jeffrey Epstein is now facing federal charges. And if you think that Jeffrey Epstein was playing this game with small ball, I have another piece of news for you. He was advising Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, Vladimir Putin's wingman, his number one guy, how to mess with Trump, how to compromise Trump, how to manipulate Trump. So if you think he's advising them for the good of the country, again, I have swampland to sell you. Jeffrey Epstein refers to him in these documents as Dirty Donald. People would be surprised if they knew how dirty he was. He talks about what Cohen knows. He talks about Donald Trump understanding who the girls were. He knew what the girls were. Epstein calls him the dog that didn't bark. Donald Trump knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And is that as bad as Jeffrey Epstein having sex with underage girls and sex trafficking young girls? No. No, it's not. But let me tell you something. Knowing about it, associating with that person after you know about it for years, decades even, and I don't think there was ever a time Donald Trump didn't know about it. Okay? I don't think there was ever a moment Donald Trump wasn't aware who Jeffrey Epstein was and what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And you know what, folks? Increasing numbers of MAGA voters don't believe that either. They don't believe he's innocent. They don't believe the story that, even the story they tell you online and in social media. Oh no, he hated Jeffrey Epstein. They were bitter enemies. I can tell you this, folks, from personal knowledge. The thing that broke them up, because I used to do a lot of business in Palm Beach, Florida, with a lot of these wealthy ass developers and real estate guys. The story I heard way before I even knew shit about Jeffrey Epstein was that Trump and Epstein, the only dispute they ever had was that Trump snaked a property out from under Epstein. Other than that, they were the best of friends. We see him emailing with Steve Bannon about how to deal with Trump, about how to help Trump get Brett Kavanaugh confirmed by smearing Christine Blasey Ford. And again, folks, what's come up from the gravestone here isn't everything. This is the tiniest tip of the iceberg. This is a little tiny sliver. This is the part of the iceberg you see in the dark of night 50 miles away as it just comes up over the horizon. There's more to be seen as we get closer. There's more to be seen under the water than we can even imagine right now. In a few days, on Tuesday, there will be a vote on the discharge petition.
This morning, the Jeffrey Epstein fallout is growing after the release of tens of thousands of documents from the late sex offender's estate. Now a push for more transparency, including from some in the president's own party.
I don't think this is going to go away, and as a moral principle, I think they ought to release the records.
President Trump, for the second straight day, ignoring questions about their friendship. The new documents also show the depth of Epstein and Trump's bitter falling out. In this 2018 exchange, Epstein suggesting he had potentially damaging information on the president, writing, "It's wild because I'm the one able to take him down." The controversy is unlikely to go away anytime soon, with Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson saying a vote on releasing the Justice Department's Epstein files will take place next week, something Epstein's accusers tell NBC News they have long been calling for.
We are representing survivors that have never had a voice.
That vote in the House likely to happen next week. If it passes in the House, of course, the next test will be in the Senate, and there it's going to face a pretty significant uphill battle. Some of the leading voices in the Make America Great, the MAGA world right now, they've largely tried to dismiss this, but the voters have a very different view of this. There is not even a majority of Republicans who approve of the way the president's handled this. Fewer than half of them are.
See, we have the House Republicans. The House Republicans signed a petition for the files to be released. They've already signed their petition. These, as I stated, these are letters from or emails from the Epstein estate. These are not the actual file. The actual files, I'm told, have video, and have audio, and they have witness statements, and they have confessions, those kind of things. Those are the things that are in the file. Okay. And these are just from Epstein's, they're talking frankly in these Epstein emails. So these are emails of off Epstein's computer, from his house, etc. Okay. So we don't know how deep this rabbit hole goes. We don't know. Okay.
It could set up, if it passes in the Senate, a moment where President Trump himself would be in a position where he has to decide whether he would veto the release of those files. He promised, of course, he would release them during the course of his campaign.
It will pass. It may pass, as that chief of staff told me today, with 50 to 70 additional votes that they don't see coming. Trump has been in a screaming panic this week. You don't call Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace into the Situation Room to pressure them to take their names off a discharge petition where you're not worried, where you're not panicked, where you're not living in absolute flop sweat 24/7, because that is where he's at right now, folks. They're trying to make a big deal over the hateful eight, giving up on the shutdown. It's not working. No one believes it. New polling out from CNN today. It was a ORC poll. Donald Trump is underwater by 39% on his handling of the Epstein files. That means a large fraction of Republicans, about a third of them, understand what he's doing.
And we understand that we have zombies in the chat defending this person, pedophile, who knew a pedophile, who had dinner with a pedophile, who was friends with the pedophile, who knew what the pedophile was doing. I don't know how many people, raise your hands. How many people say, if my boy, who's my best friend for 10 plus years, is putting the meat to less than 18-year-olds, putting the meat to girls, and he's my best friend, he knows everything. You think he ain't been putting no meat to young girls either? You think he ain't been doing that at some particular point? You think that, hey, Trump, I'm Epstein. My name is Epstein. Hey, I got some nice young girls for you to see. I got some nice young girls over here at my island. Won't nobody know nothing. Won't nobody say nothing. Do you think he didn't say that to Donald Trump at some point? Come on over to my island. Let's do the thing. You think so? That's why we have. This is why I call you maggots zombies. Because you cannot do the leap from reality to that bizarro world that you all live in. Black America, I told you, don't come over here caping for no goddamn predators. I don't want to hear about how old is legal and ain't legal. You know when you put when people fucking kids, stop it. You know when people are fucking kids, stop it. You over here caping on some bullshit. Stop that bullshit. Don't matter whether they were 16, 15. You're a 30-year-old man putting it to a 16-year-old. You're a pedo. Stop it. We didn't actually say legal against law. There's such thing as a moral thing. There's such thing as morals.
They understand what he's covering up. And again, what did you see in this mosaic? Because years ago, somebody explained the intelligence process to me. It was a really, really interesting discussion because he's an older guy, he'd been involved in intelligence back in the 60s and 70s. And he said, it is never, or almost never, the movie thing where you get one file and it explains everything. And when you turn one guy and he knows all the stuff, it's almost never that. It's a mosaic. You put one tile up on the wall and another and another and another and another and another. And slowly a picture emerges. The picture that's been painted by just this one release of emails, the picture that's been painted by just this one tranche of emails, tells a horrible story about money, power, and the sexual abuse of young girls.
Just these emails alone show a pattern that this president was involved in. It's a pattern. A disgusting, no, you MAGAs ain't finna gaslight us. This is what gaslight is. When people get to talking about, oh, she's only 16, it really ain't illegal. This Democrats have derangement syndrome, Donald derangement syndrome. These you're just talking about nothing. It means no, you ain't finna gaslight me. You ain't finna gaslight me. I know when somebody like young girls, sometimes they don't mind whether she's 15 or 14. They just like touching her. Y'all ain't finna gaslight us, okay? Only the goofy people want to be gaslighted. At this point, this is just his personal emails being released. That ain't the files. Look, Epstein bugged his rooms with videotape and audio tape. He bugged the rooms that people were in. How do you think he acquired? He was a regular plain old school teacher. He was a regular plain old school teacher who came from being a regular old school teacher who got kicked out of teaching school. By the way, he never got a college degree. So how did he end up teaching students as a teacher? He got kicked out because he got accused of touching or doing something inappropriate with girls. He got kicked out and did not have a degree, all the way to him having all of this money and a private island and entertaining all these rich people. He had everybody on video and audio. Okay, stop it. We can't defend this. And he and our president knew about it, which means you participated in it, and that makes you way hella creepy more than what we want to know. And you need to be impeached right at this moment, or you placated him and you knew about it and you never said anything, and you were a president and never said anything, which makes you even more of another creep, another level of creepiness.
And they are girls. They are children in many cases. We know that Jeffrey Epstein and we know that Ghislaine Maxwell were pedophiles. They sexually abused children. They sexually abused young women. They sexually abused grown women. It was a long-running pattern. There were many people in their social circle who joined them in that abuse. Many of them are powerful people in Wall Street, in politics, in the money world, in business. And while these happened 20 plus years ago now, many of these people are still alive and still powerful. They need to be held to account. The Epstein files aren't just Donald Trump. There's so much material collected in this horrible investigation. There's been so much material. There are terabytes of video and photographs and evidence and documents. And it is horrible. Believe me, folks, I have interviewed the author of the new book about Virginia Giuffre, Amy Wallace. I've interviewed the family of Virginia Giuffre. I've interviewed several other victims. I've interviewed Julie Brown. I've interviewed Tara Palmieri. All of these folks who understand this. I don't know how they ride with this in their souls and their heads every day. Because even the stuff I've done in digging into this, and I am, folks, I am not a delicate flower.
I appreciate you, Natural KRC, $5 support, super chat. Support the content like the damn video. Thank you very much. I need the likes and the subscribe button. Hit it up, please, and thank you. We'd like to bring content to you like twice a day. This is, I said, second drop. We just want to release more insight into this and why we may not see all of the files. So please hit the like button, support the channel, support the video when you walk in the door. Please and thank you.
Seen and done things that are tough enough to make a lot of people go, huh. But the things I'm hearing and reading and learning as I get into this story, it doesn't have to just be about Trump. If we don't do something about this, if we don't use this as a Rosetta Stone to a deeply corrupt political and moneyed and business class of people in this country, it will continue. It will metastasize. It will grow.
Now, this is where we're at, you guys. This is where we're at. The House has already voted on the petition. when that Grahala, when that young lady signed the petition, it made the ball roll. So the ball rolled into the Senate's court. The Senate now has to vote on it. They need 60 votes. This is what this gentleman right here said. He said you need they will get an overwhelming, at least 70% of Republicans to vote for this bill. It has to be, not a bill, but this petition. So 60 people of the petition have to sign it. So once it's signed, is Donald Trump going to sign it to release the files? This is where we're at. He says at least 60 people are going to sign that petition on Tuesday. It's going to be a vote to release the Epstein files on Tuesday. These are just emails from Epstein's estate. These are not the files. The files will come out if they allow them to come out. Okay? This is where we're at. We're getting the dumps from the regular. We're getting the dumps from the regular stuff from Epstein's estate.
There's no excuse for it. Hiding it tells you more about Trump's guilt and his perceptions of his guilt and his worries about his guilt, about this association, and about what he has done.
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
And I look at it every day now, and I watch how it's eating away at the country. We have a corrupt Department of Justice at the very top. Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. They're spending 50% of their time covering up Epstein and 50% of their time persecuting the president's political enemies. The White House, outside of Stephen Miller's Nazi Palooza, is largely now dedicated to managing this issue. Hiding this information is a profoundly corrupt and unethical act. The fact that he's going to release Ghislaine Maxwell from prison is telling you, especially you MAGA voters, and I want to...
It's telling you, if he releases Ghislaine Maxwell, it's telling you that he's guilty. You cannot deny that he's guilty. Why would I go to a jail and release a convicted felon if that person had nothing on me? She's getting world star treatment in prison. If he releases her, there is his guilt right there. We really don't need the release of her for the guilt. But if he releases her, this is hell to pay. I don't know why you MAGAs keep sitting resisting. Oh, we don't have enough proof. It's not a lot of proof. It's overwhelming proof that he's guilty of at least knowing about it and trying to gaslight the American people into thinking that we didn't know about it. Oh, no, you don't believe your lying ears. Don't believe your lying eyes. Just believe what I tell you. Just believe I'm Trump. Believe I'm your savior. Believe everything I want to hear. You want to hear. Believe everything. But just don't believe what them libs saying. Them libs are always lying. Come on, y'all.
I want to talk to MAGA folks for 1 second.
Please talk to MAGA folks. Please.
Your belief that there is a global ring of pedophiles who abuse children comes from a place in your hearts where you don't want to see kids abused, and no one on this earth does. And I understand that when you started this quest for the truth about this, you thought it was going to be Bill and Hillary. You thought it was going to be George Soros. You thought it was going to be media figures that you hate. But you wanted to protect kids, what you said over and over again. You said it over and over and over again. You wanted to protect the kids, the children. There is a global pedophile ring right in front of you. Ghislaine Maxwell ran the operations. Jeffrey Epstein was at the pinnacle of it. Powerful men, including Donald Trump, were around them, in business with them, partied with them, shared girlfriends with them, swapped partners with them, traveled with them, used Epstein's jet. You know, Michael Wolff says, you know, do you want people to know Donald Trump and the island and the jet? You should want to know those things. You should want answers to those questions. You should want to know if the conspiracy that you believed in turns out to have been very true, very horrible, and very much closer to home than you expected. And that, my friends, from the grave, secrets that are emerging about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein is this week's Elephant in the Room. Folks, thanks so much for listening to the Elephant in the Room podcast.
This is where we're at. The whole point is, why are we having an issue about what's going on? Let me tell you this story. Has anybody ever heard of President Nixon? What happened to President Nixon? The short version was Republicans, Nixon got caught in the Watergate scandal. The Watergate scandal was Nixon's henchmen or Nixon's boys broke into the Democratic Party headquarters. They stole documents from that. They planted bugs and stuff, and Nixon tried to cover it up. That's what happened in Watergate, in a nutshell. You think that's less than what Donald Trump has done? Don't you think this is less than what Donald Trump has done? Nixon broke into the Democratic Party. His boys broke into the party headquarters, stole documents, planted bugs, and then tried to cover it up. The crime was bad, but the cover-up was worse. The Republicans went to Nixon, told him to resign because they realized that he was caught. The videotapes and everything showed everything. The evidence was overwhelming. And the Republicans knew back then that he would be impeached and removed by the Democrats if he didn't step down. Now, we are barreling towards a midterm where if we take the House and the Senate, he's going to be impeached. We haven't got there to the point where the Republicans go to Donald Trump and say, get the fuck on. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay, we're going to see the next step is the Republicans voting on this release Tuesday. If on Tuesday after they do the vote, if more than 60 people sign on for the release of those files, he might be in trouble. For real, he might be in trouble. And they might be asking him to step down at some particular point, specifically before the midterms, because the midterms is when, if they have 60 more, that we win some of the Senate seats, we win 60 or more Senate seats, automatically, instantly, the first day in the House, they're going to put forth an amendment or put forth a bill to impeach Donald Trump. The midterms. That's November 2026. If this goes as bad as it's going, Donald Trump has a thing. Yeah, right. She's not gonna do any of those things. So you need to stop living in Delulu world, Nikki Anderson. So this is what happened when they asked Nixon to resign. Hey, we got tapes on your monkey ass. They got tapes on Trump in the Epstein files that have not been released. President Nixon lied to the public, told the FBI to stop the investigation, which is what Trump did. Lied to the public, which is what Trump did. He paid people to keep quiet. Ghislaine Maxwell, he paid her to be quiet, put her in a nice jail, gave her a puppy, let her do all these X, Y, and Z's, good food, good fun, music, all that good stuff, computer access. Destroyed evidence, only the redactions. Used government agencies FBI, IRS, CIA against his enemies, which is what Trump is doing now. Hey, go after Comey. Go after Bolton. Go after Tisha James. Go after the Fannie Willis. Trump is doing the same thing that Nixon did. It will be overwhelming if the videotapes and the audio tapes come out and Trump is on them doing things. And people have said, we heard rumors that the things on those tapes and those audios are worse than these files, worse than these emails. Okay. Here's the goofy thing. Nixon, when Nixon got caught, Letitia James is innocent. Yes, she is. Letitia, the smoking gun, the tapes. Nixon, he secretly recorded every conversation in the Oval Office. I could have sworn I heard some rumor that Trump had the recording devices taken out of the Oval Office. I heard that somewhere, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. When the investigators discovered the tapes, they demanded those tapes from Nixon. Nixon refused to give them those tapes. Eventually, the Supreme Court ordered him to hand those goddamn tapes over. When the people listened to the tapes, the Republicans found the tapes, listened to the tapes, they found proof he was involved in the cover-up for his henchmen to break into the Democratic headquarters, DNC, and steal files. This was a smoking gun. And then they went to him and said, you got to go. Get the fuck up out of here. And that happened, and that's what happened. Okay? But once those tapes came out, it proved that he lied, he obstructed justice, he tried to stop the FBI from investigating, and the Republican leaders knew impeachment was inevitable. Just like they know this is when I think a decision will be made about Donald Trump. I think a decision will be made November 2026. If the Democrats get a 60-plus majority in the House, they only need to flip. They only need to flip like 10, 15 seats. If they get a majority in the House, the Democrats, they run the table. And they are going to demolish the filibuster. So they will only need 51 votes. That's all the Democrats need in the Senate is to get 5 turnovers. They need to turn over 5 people. You think right now they ain't going to get 5 people to turn over 5 Senates to lose their seats because the Republicans decide they're going to hide a pedophile? The minute the American people find out that the Republicans are willing to hide a pedophile, you're going to get more turnover, more seats turned over. And that's when the Democrats are going to get rid of the filibuster. The filibuster requires that you have 60 votes to pass anything in the House and the Senate. The Democrats, just to get rid of Trump, just to get rid of him, are going to get rid of the filibuster, just in case they don't have enough people to convict him, to convict him in the Senate. That's why I'm saying, Fred. That's why I'm saying that's all it's going to take is a majority of Democrats in the House, 51 people. Then they're going to abolish that filibuster, and then they're going to run the table on the Republicans. That's what I would do. Fuck y'all. Exactly what I'd say to you Republicans. Fuck y'all. Y'all don't have the American people in good hands. The American people are losing life and limb through these Republican policies. Fuck y'all. That's exactly what I'd say. I demolish the filibuster if I got the majority as a Democrat in the House from the Senate and the House come November 26, I will run the fucking table on y'all. Get rid of that filibuster. We don't give a damn. We're going to put in all our policies, then we're going to codify them. We're going to codify them so they can't be changed. We're going to show you the real gangster over here. Democrats want to be weak. You need new leadership because I run it just like that. Fuck y'all. Okay. So this is where we at. 20. They can keep saying we're not going to turn things over. We're not going to let them get Donald Trump. But if they don't do it, it's going to be a bloodbath come November 2026. Because everybody sees it. Everybody sees what they're doing. Everybody sees that they are trying to cover up for Trump. You all hit the like button, the share button, the notification button, the all notification button so you can get notified when I go live. I go live twice a day if I can, in the afternoons, maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock, and then in the evening around 10 o'clock. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I appreciate all of you guys coming over here because we like to do exposés, content. Yeah, everybody cares about Epstein. That ain't gonna make it go away, Fred. You don't care about it. Sit back in the corner and watch. If you don't give a damn, sit back in the corner and watch. You want me to ask and answer a question? Please put it in the super chat. Thank you very much. Please support the channel. Hit the super chat, the Cash App. Do all those good things. Super chat. So this is where we at. Now, this is what I ran across today, which really had me kind of puzzled. Really had me kind of hesitant, right? Because I'm hesitant now. Okay? This is how I'm hesitant. Wait a minute. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Let me pull it up so we can see. Here's Donald Trump. Let's hope y'all can see. Let's hope y'all can see that. Okay, now y'all can see this. Y'all see this, right? The Democrat, this is when he started posting again. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown. Don't nobody give a damn about the shutdown now. I bet y'all ain't heard nobody say nothing about the damn shutdown. I have y'all. Because don't nobody give a damn about it. It's the Epstein files, okay? Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into this trap. The Democrats cost our country $1 trillion with their recent antics. There should be no deflections. Look, there should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else. And any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country. This is what he's trying to make it seem as though y'all need to be quiet about that. Okay, so we got that right there. Let's chill. He's saying, y'all don't do no shit. Hold the line, hold the line, hold the line. Then we get to his next post. Hold on, let me get to it, y'all. Okay, here we go. Wait a minute, let me get to it, y'all. Be patient. Be patient with me. Look at this right here. This Thomas Massey. Y'all know who Thomas Massey is? He's the representative. I think he was the only guy in the House of Representatives that voted to release the Epstein files. He was one of the 4 Republicans that voted to release the Epstein file. Look what Donald trying to do to him now. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married yet? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great night, Life Thomas. And question mark. His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. This is the 4th guy who voted yes, and he's going to lose to a Democrat. It is what it is. The 4th guy to vote for the Epstein files in the House to be released. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, boom. This is the next one. The next tweet that he put out. I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. Over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men in women's sports or transgender, you see all the goddamn culture wars. We don't give a fuck about the culture wars. Y'all stop bringing those up. We're fighting for the soul of our country. Shut your ass up about these damn culture wars. No men in sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, and being respected by every country in the world, as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago. That's debatable, for real. That ain't debatable. We weren't. $500 billion, record-setting investment in U.S. and having the hottest, what? Having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago and so much more. 12 months ago. Can y'all believe what the hell our country was like 12 months ago? Our country we were staggering along, right? But the only thing we had to worry about was goddamn prices going up. And Biden was trying to get that under control. He went from 9.2% down to 2.3%. So he got inflation under control. He just had to get the food prices under control, and we would have probably been rolling like we needed to roll. But then I don't know why, we voted this man in thinking he was going to do something different, and look what he brought to our country. Endless wars, endless chaos. Every goddamn day we wake up with something going on with the president. Your ass should be sitting down somewhere. You 84 years old. You over here acting a fool. Sit your ass down somewhere. But he can't sit his ass down somewhere because he's the chaotic. This is when we tell people there are toxic human beings on this planet and they do toxic bullshit. This is the person that we're talking about right here, our president. This is what it is. Okay, let me finish. Okay, but with 219 okay, what did she say? Marjorie Taylor is complaining. That's all we get is, it said, okay, all I see wacky Marjorie do is complain. Marjorie Taylor Greene. It seemed that it all began when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance. Unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore, but 219 congressmen and women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members in almost 200 countries. You notice that he said, I only have 219 congressmen. There's 400 congressmen in the chamber. Why is he only dealing with half the chamber? Because he hasn't dealt with the Democrats. He doesn't even want to talk to them. 53 U.S. senators. 53. You have 100 senators. Why is it that you ain't talking to the rest of the senators? Because he don't want to. He has no time to pull engagement into other political parties. That's why he's a shitty president. Okay. 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead. I can't take a ranting lunatic's calls every day. I understand that the wonderful conservative people are thinking about primary Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics. And if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican hating anchors. Thank you for the attention to this matter. Make America great again. You see, he just torched her ass, right? He just torched Marjorie Taylor Greene. He just torched her ass. Of course he was going to torch her ass, dummy. He was going to do that because if you're not useful to him, he throws you away. This is what happened to her. That's one of his last postings, right? So my thing is this. We're going to keep going. Hold on. Because I'm going to get to the most important one right here. Hold on. The most important one. Listen. Been all over the map. Okay, here we go. Who is he talking to? I don't know who that is, but forget it. Okay, let's see. Last one. Okay. This is the last one. Let me pull it up. Hold on, y'all. Democrat. Wait a minute. Did he just erase some shit? Did he just erase some shit? Because I'm asking, did he erase some shit? Because I thought I had. I'm sectioning it off on this True Social, and I'm getting specifically his post, only his post, right? In here, in here, well, anyway, forget it. In this post, Donald Trump asked for the release of, no, he asked for people to investigate Donald Trump. He had asked to investigate all of these people, to investigate all of the people that are in the Epstein file. Here we go. Hold on. Maybe I'll get it from here.
Pam Bondi has chosen a prosecutor to investigate people and companies associated with Jeffrey Epstein, quickly obeying a public request from President Donald.
Here's the thing, and let me read you this, because this is important. Donald Trump just asked Pam Bondi to open an investigation on everybody. Everybody that has been mentioned in the emails. Donald Trump, not him. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Larry Summers, all of the people that we have heard about. All of the people that we have heard about, okay? He has asked for an investigation. But this is why, and I'll tell you why. I went over to Doge, I went over to Grok, and I went over to Doge, all this shit, right? And I asked this question of 3 different things. I said, so if a person within those files is under investigation, will the files be released? The short answer is not exactly, but partially yes. If someone in the Epstein files is under investigation and Donald Trump just asked his Pam Bondi, he just asked Pam Bondi to do an investigation. He just asked Pam Bondi to do an investigation. So she has opened up an investigation on those emails and on the Trump files. She opened up another investigation. Does that mean that those files can be released? The DOJ does not have to release information about an active investigation. So if the person is in the files being actively investigated, a potential target, a cooperating witness, or connected to the investigation that is still open, those specific parts of the file can be legally withheld. But everything else can be withdrawn. So if you specifically open up an investigation in the DOJ that mentions Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z, they don't have to release those files. They can release everything else but those. They don't have to release anything else but those. So if there's 1,000 pages of a book, 50 pages that deal with one specific person, those 50 pages can be legally withheld. Okay. The current bill, another reason why these files cannot be released, may not be released. Epstein Files Transparency Act allows redactions. The government must release the files with only 3 types of allowed redactions: victim name, truly ongoing investigations, and national security protected information. Everything else must be released. So even if a person is under investigation, the release still happens, except everything is going to be redacted, removed paragraphs, removed email header, blank page for grand jury summation. Okay, so we cannot use an excuse anymore. If the law passes, everything that is not a part of the active investigation can be released. So if you notice from the last post that Donald Trump did in True Social, I can't find it now. Maybe it'll come up in this investigation, this news clip. He said, I want X, Y, and Z investigated. I want Summers, Clinton. He named a whole bunch of names and things off, which means if Pam Bondi gets her way, and puts those things under investigation, that means we will not see the complete true list of files. This is a way for us not to be able to see them. We might not be able to see all of the files, all of the videotapes, the videotapes, the video and audio. We might not be able to see it. So let's see what these people got to say. Now, as you can see, the heading says Attorney General named named a lead prosecutor to lead the Epstein probe ordered by Trump. So he ordered an active investigation, and so they're hurrying up and getting the stuff under investigation so that we won't be able to see the files. They didn't expect that the Gurhala was going to sign the petition. They didn't expect the Republicans to defect, the ones that did. But once they did defect, they had to put this investigation in order so that if it's under investigation, then it can't be released. So let's see.
Trump. Bondi writes this, quote, "Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I have asked him to take the lead," end quote. That in direct response to this announcement from President Trump, which came less than 4 hours before. The president wrote this, quote, "I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions," end quote. That post, perhaps the clearest example of how the president is personally directing his administration's messaging when it comes to Epstein. Multiple sources telling CNN that Donald Trump himself dictates how and when the White House responds to Epstein-related developments as he tries to avoid anything that pushes the story forward. One source says this, quote, "Everybody has been instructed to wait until information comes out and then respond that it is a hoax or doesn't prove anything," end quote. All of this, just the latest instance of the president telling the nation's law enforcement who to target and of his attempts to divert attention from his own relationship with Epstein. But it should come as no surprise.
You should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein. I sure as hell didn't.
All right, let's get off the sidelines, head into the arena. My panel is here. We're going to get started, though, with our reporters, CNN White House correspondent Kristen Holmes and our senior justice correspondent, Evan Perez. Kristen, let me start with you. There's been so much discussion this week about how the president himself, how the White House has been reacting to this story. And this is a lot of your new reporting on that. What else do we know?
Yeah, Casey, I mean, look, what I was told essentially is that there are allies and people around President Trump who have been telling him for months that he's getting bad advice, that he's not handling the Epstein case correctly, the controversy correctly. And we have learned that just in recent days, one of his allies on Capitol Hill told him the same, particularly when it comes to denying, deflecting, downplaying these quote unquote Epstein files, that there's another strategy at play. And we certainly saw, whether or not this is why, President Trump shift the strategy here. Instead of just saying that this is a Democratic hoax, he is clearly trying to take control of the narrative and asking Pam Bondi, the Justice Department, to now investigate his political foes, particularly Democrats, many of whom were named in those emails that President.
And that's the whole point. The whole point is, I also asked Grok and ChatGPT and Gemini. I asked all of the AI servers, is there a law that says because that they're under investigation, the files can't be released? Yes, several laws already exist that prevent the government from releasing certain information if they are under investigation. These are not laws specific to Epstein. They apply to all federal grand jury secrecy law. You cannot release information. Ongoing investigation exemption. You cannot release files. Privacy Act of 1974. You cannot release files. So there are laws that block the release of files. If someone is under investigation, the government cannot release information that would expose their identity, evidence against them, witness statements, investigative steps. But the law does not block releasing the entire file, only the sensitive parts. Now, Trump is calling for all of these things to be investigated by name. Investigated by name. They have time. This person that they're about to inform, this person that they're just about to appoint is going to name all of these things in that lawsuit. So once they name all of those things in the law, in that investigation, once they do that, then none of those files can be released. Now they're under an active investigation because Pam Bondi, didn't you hear at the beginning of this clip? They hurriedly put this under investigation because it falls under those three particular laws that say the files can't be released. Now, the only way they could be released if somebody knows how to get around it. They are doing this because they still have until November 2026 before they find the final nail in the coffin. The final nail for the Republicans is in the coffin November 2026. So if they sweep the elections, the Democrats get the House and the Senate, Trump is cooked. And the Republicans are going to have to go to him and say, you either going to quit or you're going to be impeached. Which one do you want? See, Trump is one of those people that think he can get away with everything. Trump got one more year. Trump has one more year.
Evidence to charge anyone else. So a lot of this is, or at least seems to be, performative, but it is a notable shift when it comes to how President Trump is addressing this. All of this, of course, coming as it's become clear to the White House, to the president himself, that bill that to release the Epstein files is likely to not only be brought to a vote, but pass in the House. And there are many who believe it will then go on to pass in the Senate. And that's the inevitable. Now you're seeing, again, President Trump kind of shifting his tactics from being defensive to being offensive.
Really fascinating. Evan, what do we know about who this prosecutor is that was just announced by the AG?
Well, Jay Clayton has a good reputation. He is the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York. He's a former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. And what this does, this instruction from the Attorney General, it does put him in sort of a bind, right? Because you can see that she screenshotted the president's announcement.
He has different stopgaps before that things have to be released. He has different stopgaps. If we have he's waiting, he's banking that he can stop them before they say yes on Tuesday. If they say no on Tuesday, then the files won't be released because you need the House and the Senate to release those files. The reason why this woman was so important, this Gerhala was so important, is because she forced Mike Johnson to get the bill on the floor. Otherwise, he would never have put the bill on the floor. They never would have voted for it. Okay? So this is where they are at. The Republicans, Donald Trump knows that the regular Republicans in the Senate are going to vote yes. We're going to have the files released. If Republicans continue to stand behind a pedo or supposed pedo, it's going to be a bloodbath come November 2026. So they're calculating what they're going to do now.
His social media post, which clearly says that what he wants is an investigation of prominent Democrats. In other words, that's what Pam Bondi appears to be endorsing here. So the question for prosecutors in Manhattan will be whether they're going to do a fulsome look of everyone who is associated with Epstein. Now, a couple of things have happened in the last few days that have really put this squarely back in the hands of the Justice Department. First of all, the Democrats surprised a lot of people with documents that they got from the Epstein estate that it's clear the Justice Department did not have. And so that put the Deputy Attorney General in a sort of an embarrassing position where he was tweeting at George Conway yesterday saying that the Epstein estate had hid documents from law enforcement. we got a pushback from the Epstein estate's attorney saying they did not hide anything. They simply responded to any requests for documents. So now the question is, will the Justice Department ask for these new documents, these documents that they did not already possess? And Casey, keep in mind, this summer, before they put out this the statement in July saying that there were no additional documents to be released, the Justice Department and FBI did go through everything they had and determined that there were no additional prosecutions that could be brought against anyone associated with Epstein. And so the question is whether this new investigation is
Right.
going to yield a different answer. Also, one last thing, while they're doing this new investigation, you guys just talked about the discharge petition that is going on in the House right now. What this means is that there are no documents that the Justice Department is going to be able to turn over, because during an ongoing investigation.
Right here, I just said that to y'all, right? I just said during an active investigation, they can't release no files. Listen to him.
Their practice is to not release documents that are.
Okay, let's
There
say it
are
again.
no documents that the Justice Department is going to be able to turn over, because during an ongoing investigation, their practice is to not release documents that are subject of an investigation.
And that's why Donald Trump put his ass out there today. Investigate the Clintons. Investigate Larry Summers. Investigate Vince. Investigate whoever. Investigate all these people. As long as there is an active investigation in the DOJ, you cannot get the files from the DOJ, which means the files may not be released. That's the problem. So the Republicans are making a calculation. We're gonna vote for the files to be released in the House and the Senate. They're gonna both vote for them to be released. But once they're released, it's up to DOJ in order to show them. DOJ say, hey, we on the investigation, we can't release them. So then another clock begins to tick between the Republicans saying release them, because that's the cover that they have when they go home to their constituents. Hey, we voted to have the files released. They said they were under investigation. We can't do nothing about them being under an active investigation. This is an excuse the Republicans going to make. Then they're going to wait to November 2026 and see what the results of the election are. If it's a bloodbath, not a bloodbath, a blue bloodbath. If there's a blue blood bath, they're going to ask Donald Trump to resign. If they get away with this shit without losing the House and without losing the Senate and without losing the House, they're going to keep doing what they're doing, covering up for him, saying, hey, DOJ is under an active investigation and we're not going to release the files. Okay? They're going to keep using the courts. They're going to keep using the DOJ not to release the files. It depends on how the people respond. The people, it has to be overwhelmingly that the people call for those files to be released. And the way they call for the overwhelming release of them is to vote these fucking Republicans out of office. And we got to get them out of there. Otherwise, we will never see those files. We have to get those people out of there. That's the whole point. We have to get them out of there in order to see the files. Because Donald Trump, they know what they're doing. They putting it under active investigation so they don't have to release them. But I bet you some Republicans vote yes on Tuesday to open the files. I bet you they do. I bet you they get overwhelming support to open them. But we'll never see those files because it's going to be on an active investigation.
So what that means is that we are now back into a holding pattern, right? They're not going to be able to release any new documents so long as that investigation is ongoing.
How convenient. Kristen.
Of course it's convenient. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. That's why Biden couldn't get them released. Biden didn't release them because they were under an active investigation then. That's why Biden could have get them released. People keep asking and saying, why didn't Biden release him? He had 4 years. Because they were under an active investigation. Oh, yeah, I've been watching that too. Ty. So this is where we at. So I'm thinking the Republicans are doing a calculated risk. They're doing a calculation. No, he couldn't get them released. They were on an active investigation. Stop it, Fred. Stop doing bullshit. Okay. So this is where we at. But see, we got people calling for cover. But listen, people are trying to cape for these people. They're starting to put their excuses together, y'all. They're hoping they're hoping that the maggots stick. They're hoping that the maggots are going to stick. They're hoping.
Anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14.
You all please hit the like and share button. Please hit the like and share button. We're going to open up the chat. We're going to open up the phone lines in a minute. Please hit the like and share button. Please hit the like and share button. The phone lines are not open as of yet, but they will be in a minute. We're going to open them up so people can, let's hope I can get a number on the screen. Can I get the number on the screen? Y'all listen to this. Listen to the coping mechanism.
When I first came within his purview. You can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just.
Care to guess what she was talking about there? She was talking about the age of Jeffrey Epstein's victims in order to downplay the severity of his sex crimes in the event more evidence comes to light that directly implicates Donald Trump. They're actually doing it. They're doing it. They're making technically it's a femophilia argument. I don't know what to say, man. That's pretty gross. Now, in the lead up to those comments, she said that she wasn't trying to make excuses for Epstein, even though she did just that. See for yourself.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse material on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him.
I'll tell you, Megan, he was a notorious child rapist. You don't have to split hairs or nuance troll in order to minimize his crimes. He was a child rapist, period, end of story. And the only reason why you're saying this is because you know there's a very high probability that Donald Trump is too. And we know that she knows this because she concedes that the things we're learning about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, quote, don't sound good. And she calls Trump's handling of the Epstein files a self-inflicted wound and questions why Trump doesn't just release the Epstein files. Gee, I wonder why. There's got to be some reason why he doesn't want to release the files, right, Megan? I can't quite figure out why he doesn't just like put this all to rest and put it all out there for us to see. I mean, here's what we've learned in just like the past week. Epstein confirmed that Donald Trump knew about the girl, seeing as how he asked Ghislaine to stop. Epstein confirmed that a victim spent hours with Donald Trump. We learned that journalist Michael Wolff was explaining ways that Epstein could use the dirt he had on Trump to blackmail him during the 2016 election. We also know that Epstein has pictures of Donald Trump with the girls in bikinis in Epstein's kitchen. And we now know that Trump spent Thanksgiving with Epstein in 2017 during his first presidential term, which contradicts the previous timeline that Trump gave us, where he claimed to have kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago long before that. And this is on top of what we already knew, which was a lot. We knew that Trump appeared on the flight logs at least 7 times. We knew Epstein claimed that Donald Trump was his closest friend for 10 years. Not to mention, we knew about this.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Right? That's a good question. But I just can't figure out why Donald Trump doesn't just release the Epstein files. It's crazy, right? It doesn't suggest culpability that he won't, of course, because according to Megyn Kelly, there's no reason for us to be suspicious of Donald Trump.
We have not seen some slew of young women come forward to say, me too, on Donald Trump molesting them or having paid for sex with them when they were barely legal or otherwise. It just hasn't happened.
Yeah, except Donald Trump was accused of sexual misconduct by 26 women, Megan. He was accused of walking into changing rooms of teen beauty pageant contestants as young as 15 years old. He called his own daughter Ivanka a piece of ass. Rapper Uncle Luke of 2 Live Crew said that he attended a party at Trump's mansion in the 1990s, but he left because he saw men having sex with girls that appeared to be underage. He was found liable for rape of E. Jean Carroll in civil court. He admitted on tape that he rapes women. He said he grabs them by the pussy and doesn't even wait for consent. Yet, Megyn Kelly is going to look us in the face and she's going to tell us that it is not conceivable that Trump would have also committed sex crimes comparable to Jeffrey Epstein. She's actually going to say that with a straight face. Really, Megyn? As stupid as she is, I don't think she's that stupid, right? I think she's being disingenuous, but she's not alone because her co-host, Beta Ungar Sargon, also downplayed potential crimes that Epstein's associates may have committed.
The lawyer for a group of the women actually said Jeffrey Epstein would prey upon women when they were underage, true and disgusting and horrible. And then the lawyer said,
you see how they doing acrobats trying to claim this kind of garbage. I don't like people trying to make these kind of leaps. You're trying to paint it as something not as negative as it is. That's why when I hear people in the chat like Black America say, "Oh, 16 is legal," when I hear them say that, no, that's wild. You're trying to justify something.
A woman to his friend without her consent, as if she's a piece of property. What do you call that? See, she would say that that's not a crime. That's how she characterized it. I guess because by her logic, it's no longer a rape once you become an adult and coercion isn't tantamount to twisted mind. I mean, the mental gymnastics that they're doing just to make Trump look good is baffling to me because you're not making him look any better. You're just making yourselves look like scumbags. Now, if I had to steel man her, I would assume that she's arguing that it wasn't rape and that these encounters were consensual when that indeed was not the case. You just have to read about what happened, listen to the testimonies from Epstein's victims. This was not consensual. So him passing on women to his friends, That's crimes. That's human trafficking. Okay. But that was the most disgusting defense that we saw from Beta and Megyn Kelly. There were other right-wing grifters who didn't take it that far yet, but they also launched, some defenses of Trump that I think were laughable and worth exploring here. So a lot of them just chose to not address it at all, because if you can't defend something like this and don't want to, then you just kind of zip your lips. But people notice. For example, on Twitter, people are calling out the conspicuous silence from Libs of TikTok, who made a name for herself falsely accusing LGBTQ plus people of grooming children. And it's especially gross because she engaged in the initial cover-up at the behest of the Trump regime, and even elected Democrats are calling her a pedophile protector because of it. But now, all of a sudden, she has nothing to say now that we're learning more. But she's not alone, because Sean Hannity of Fox News was also called out for his deafening silence. And needless to say, it did not go well for him.
You know what
Radio
else
talk
is
shows
great
are very
about
good.
Biden's decline is that Trump is all over the Epstein files, and I'm wondering if they're going to release those. Are you covering that tonight?
Not really, because the woman
she
that
got Sean Hannity with his conspiracy theory ass. She got his ass just like, keep asking questions, because I'm finna bring up the Epstein file. Keep asking about them Epstein file. You all hit the like button, the share button, subscribe button. Please and thank you. We his content like every night, unless HQ is sick. Now I have bronchitis, so the cold never went away. So it just got deeper and deeper in my chest, so I'm still sick. Okay? So please hit the like and the share button. I appreciate it. For more content, we like to do this kind of thing. More thorough investigations we're going to do. I love to talk about this kind of stuff. So please, I enjoy having the company over there. Even fighting with goddamn Fred. It's hilarious when I have to fight with some maggots, because y'all zombies. But let's keep going.
apparently they're talking about is the one that said he was a gentleman and never did anything wrong. And the person that had a grudge was the guy that got thrown out of Mar-a-Lago 25 years ago. And by the way, when you get thrown out of a club in Palm Beach, Florida, that's kind of a big deal. And it's very humiliating and embarrassing. And he was a convicted pedophile. So I'm not exactly putting a lot of gospel truth in what he said.
Trump was mad that he was stealing his girls, but
I don't think I've ever seen Sean Hannity so uncomfortable before. But what's funny is that we now know that Trump and Epstein attended Thanksgiving together back in 2017. So they're not going to be able to use that bullshit excuse that they always use about how Trump threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, because apparently, that happened, but then they made up at some point, according to emails released by Epstein's estate. Although, to be fair to Hannity, he didn't know about that particular revelation at the time that segment aired. But now, he's going to have to adjust the excuses that he makes for Donald Trump. But, it's why it's never smart to defend anyone in the first place who may be implicated in child sex trafficking, right? Just like, don't go there. Don't do that. You don't have to wade into those waters. You can avoid it, because I think there are some things that are indefensible, regardless if you agree with the policy.
Of course, some things are indefensible. But the MAGAs would have you believe that this stuff is defensible. They would have you believe that this is defensible.
Positions of the candidate or president that you're supporting. Like, if we found out that Bernie Sanders in circa 2020 was a pedophile, I wouldn't rationalize that and say, but maybe his crimes weren't so bad because...
16 is not illegal. 16 is legal. I would not rationalize this. This is the difference between the right and the left. We're not going to rationalize no goofy shit.
I wanted Medicare for all. I would say, you know what? I don't trust him if he's a pedophile. I don't believe anything he says because he's a morally bankrupt person. There are some lines that you have to draw, morally speaking, because that's what being a good person requires. But to these conservatives, there's just no moral lines. It's like, oh, he's a pedophile. Okay, well, God, this is exhausting. I got to figure out how to defend this. You don't have to do that. And you could see it on Hannity's face. He clearly didn't want to do that, but he did it anyway because, that's his job. But I think that the safest bet, if you want to try to get out of this a little bit cleaner, is to just throw out a distraction in response to the revelations, like Laura Loomer did, where she tweeted, "You can't be outraged by the Epstein saga and simultaneously not be outraged by the fact that we have Muslims serving in Congress. Their, quote, prophet was an infamous pedophile. Nobody wants to talk about that."
Whoa.
Checkmate, liberals. Muslims exist. Therefore, you're a hypocrite if you criticize Donald Trump for possibly being a pedophile. Good one, Laura. I'm sure that this is all going to go away soon enough when you remind people that Muslims exist. That's quite the deflection tactic, right? But another way to defend Donald Trump is to try to cook up a new conspiracy theory, and this is exactly what closeted homosexual commentator Jenny Bonson did. And it's a conspiracy theory that isn't necessarily persuasive to anybody with some brain cells left to rub together. Nonetheless, let's hear him out.
Virginia Roberts is just one of those people, and her voice would be very important right now, especially as Democrats try and run this op against Trump. It's almost like they knew the op was going to happen, and they needed to make sure that the key witness, who was constantly saying that Donald Trump did nothing wrong.
You see how they running over each other trying to defend a pedophile. This is why you Republicans don't belong in power, because you don't know when to do the right moral thing. The right thing is to call out this kind of garbage. They come over and they defend it. Every person in the chat, every person online defending this behavior. Oh, we can't tell. We don't know. She's 16, da-da-da. No. Y'all don't, Republicans, you don't stand on nothing. That's the problem. You don't stand on nothing.
She was constantly saying this. Again, you can find deposition after deposition after deposition where she is asked about Donald Trump. You know, it would just blow the hole in the entire operation if you have this woman out there who's saying, no, Trump did nothing wrong. It just seems all too convenient, doesn't it?
Now, you kind of have to read between the lines on this one, but it seems like he's suggesting that Democrats had Virginia Giuffre killed because she exonerated Donald Trump, and her being out of the picture benefits Democrats because now there's no one left to confirm Donald Trump's innocence. Now, if Democrats were evil enough to literally kill someone just to make Donald Trump look bad, why wouldn't they just Trump himself? Well, he would probably argue that they tried that and they couldn't get it done, so they had to target somebody else who was easier to get to. But I mean, if Democrats are willing to go that far just to make Donald Trump look bad, aren't there other things that they could do that would be easier to make Trump look bad? Like anything easier than, say, committing an actual murder and covering that up? I feel like that's a lot of work for a very small payoff. No, because there's no guarantee that if they're able to confirm that Trump is a pedophile, it's even going to hurt him because you're all defending him now, right? So to me, the conspiracy theory is a little bit implausible, we'll say. But I want to hear from Tim Pool because he's going to accuse Democrats of trying to frame Donald Trump to make him look like he's guilty. And his argument isn't as absurd as Jenny Bonson's. Nonetheless, I'm going to explain why it just isn't very persuasive.
Shortly after the release of these emails, not many people noticed the victim's name that was redacted was, in fact, Virginia Giuffre, who had already testified years ago that Trump never did anything wrong. So the question then becomes, why did Democrats choose to redact the name of an individual who had already testified Trump never did anything wrong? It's because they know that Virginia Giuffre testified this, and by redacting the victim, no one knows who the victim supposedly is, and it implies Trump did something wrong. In other words, they're trying to frame Donald Trump. They want the narrative to be that Trump is a pedo. And I'm like, maybe, probably.
Do y'all see the stretch? Do y'all see the stretch here? We made all this shit up. The Democrats made all this shit up. This is going to be this excuse.
Not. I mean, I feel like if they really had that evidence, they would have released it, not be doing these stupid schemes. I think there's a possibility. I don't know if it's a 10% or a 1%.
1%? Really, Tim? Just 1%? Come on. Now, listen, if I were to grant him that, and Democrats cynically did redact Giuffre's name to make Trump look bad, sure, I can see how that would appear obviously disingenuous by insinuating that he abused Giuffre when she herself testified that he did not. But assuming that that is indeed the case here with Democrats, you've only debunked one potential instance of criminality. There are much more. But let's take it a step further, and let's assume that Trump never engaged in any crimes whatsoever with Epstein. At the very minimum, and in the best case scenario, he was still referred to as the dog that hasn't barked because he knew about the girls and he asked Ghislaine to stop, meaning that he was aware of a pedophile sex trafficking ring and didn't go to the authorities to stop it, which makes him complicit. And on top of that, we know that he chose to remain friends with a pedophile after Epstein got that sweetheart deal. And I'm saying this because now we know that they attended Thanksgiving together in 2017. I personally would not want to attend Thanksgiving with somebody who is a convicted pedophile. And on top of that, Trump made Alex Acosta, the lawyer responsible for Epstein's sweetheart deal, his labor secretary. And his administration moved Ghislaine Maxwell to a prison where she's now receiving special treatment. She's getting to pet puppies, literally. Why would he do that, Tim? See, the worst interpretation is that he's trying to butter up Ghislaine to keep her from talking. But the best interpretation is that, you know, he's not guilty. He just wants to give favorable treatment to a convicted pedophile. I mean, do you see where this is going? Either way, it just doesn't look good. In the most charitable interpretation, it does not look good. But again, we don't know for sure, hence why we need to see the Epstein files. But for some odd reason, Trump just doesn't want us to see what's in those files. Ask yourself, Tim, why is he trying so hard to stop the truth from getting out? I mean, they called Lauren Boebert into the fucking Situation Room to try to get her to withdraw her vote from the discharge petition so it wouldn't go through, which would then force a vote on the Epstein files. Why would you do all of this if you're innocent? I mean, if you're innocent, you just release the Epstein files so that way the truth gets out there and you're exonerated. But you see, all signs point to one conclusion that you all see, and I know you see this. The conclusion is that he's probably not innocent, right? Which is why he's fighting tooth and nail to stop the release of the Epstein files. But here's the good news. Again, you don't actually have to defend him, Tim. You can sit this one out. You can be silent and you're still going to get made fun of, but you don't have to actively try to defend somebody who was this close to a notorious sex trafficking pedophile. Like, none of these conservatives have to do this. They don't have to do this. In fact, you know, more House Republicans are finally vocalizing their intent to vote to release the Epstein files now, which is something Donald Trump does not want. But I mean, if it's going to happen, if there's going to be a vote, they know that we're all going to remember this, right? And the reason why some Republicans don't want to vote against the release of the Epstein files is because, you know, they too can see the writing on the wall. And I think that Jim McGovern put it best.
The bottom line is every single Republican will go on record, and you will have to make clear whether you're on the side of a pedophile or whether you're on the side of the victims.
And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Do you do the right thing and piss off Donald Trump? Or do you do the wrong thing and vote to protect pedophiles and not piss off Donald Trump? Although this will be used against you in future attack ads if you have more political ambitions. Like if you want to run for Senate or president, do you really want your opponent to create attack ads about how you voted to protect pedophiles?
And that's the thing. That's what I keep saying. Right now, this is where we at. The House has already voted for the petition. The petition is making its way over to bill is making its way over to the Senate. The Senate is going to vote on it on Tuesday. The Republicans have to make the calculation. Do they want to vote to release the files and then be on record saying they voted for the files to be released? This is what they're going to do. But here's the thing. Trump just ordered all of the people whose names came out today in those emails. He ordered those people be under a review, under investigation. Once you call for an investigation for a file, for any kind of records, that means those records that have that particular person under investigation cannot be released. So if Donald just put everybody under investigation or put all of these people and things under investigation that were in the files, that means basically files won't be able to be released with the full picture and context. So this is what Trump is doing ahead of Tuesday's vote. Tuesday's vote in the Senate. Republican senators are going to vote for the release of the files. Donald Trump already has in place Monday morning. Watch. Y'all going to hear the headlines all weekend long. and Monday, the headlines are going to be Pam Bondi put these people under investigation because Donald Trump wanted her to. That's how they get out of releasing the files. They put everybody under the file in the files that have been mentioned they put everybody who's been mentioned in the emails under investigation. And therefore, the DOJ has always been known that it has always been known by the public that if a DOJ is under investigation with something, it cannot be released. And this is how this is covered for the Republicans. Now, here's how it's going to play out. Maybe the Republicans are going to vote for it to be released. It won't be released because DOJ is going to put a lock on it. We're going to see how the American public takes this. Is the American public going to accept the fact that they won't release the files and believe the bullshit that Donald Trump is trying to gaslight y'all with? Because he's the king of the gaslighters. All he got to do to you MAGAs is say, hey, there's no place like home. 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 And you maggots will believe it. So let's see if he says, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. If he says that 4 times, you maggots, and half of you maggots are believing it now. So half of you maggots still in the chat defending this boo-boo kitty bullshit. So here's the thing. The Republicans are going to vote to release it on Tuesday. They're going to get overwhelming support to release it on Tuesday. Donald Trump puts it under investigation on Monday. Bondi, a.k.a. Donald Trump, is going to put it under investigation on Monday. They won't be able to release it. They're going to tell you later on in the week, oh, the DOJ put it under investigation. They can't release it. I guarantee you. I guarantee you this is what's going to happen this week. And then the Republicans going to think they can ride this shit out. They think they're going to be able to ride this shit out to November 2026. So if this shit goes the way it's supposed to go and we have a blue wave November 2026 and the Democrats take the Senate and the Democrats take the House, they're going to impeach Donald Trump. You know how? Most people say you need a 60 vote to impeach. The Democrats are going to blow the filibuster up. If ever there is a time to blow up the filibuster and be able to use 51 votes instead of the 60, if ever there was a time for the filibuster to get blown up, it's going to be blown up on November 2026 to get rid of Donald Trump. And then the Republicans are waiting to see if we win the midterms. If the Democrats win the midterms, the Republicans are going to go to Donald Trump and say, you quit, because they finna impeach your motherfucking ass. They're going to impeach your ass. That's what the Democrats going to say. It is what it is.
Right. And putting aside the political calculations that they're making, this is the easiest moral test of all time. And we're about to see how many Republicans are able to pass it. But I mean, so many craven commentators have decided that they have to jump on the bandwagon to protect pedophiles, which is despicable.
They only have to flip. They only got to flip 4 seats, Black America. Calm down. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. They only got to flip 4 Senate seats. That's it. That's it. They only got to flip 4 seats. No, the way it's going, the way this overwhelming wave is coming to them because of you having a pedophile president, and because they burnt up their political calculations with the Mexicans, Hispanics, independents, Democrats, because they burnt up all their political capital with them. It might be that's all they need is 4 names in the Senate. That's all they need. 4 flips. No, they all gonna be in play. We are at the beginning stages. Nobody knew this was gonna flip up like that. They don't. Yes, they do. They need the Hispanics. They need the blacks, and we got some of the whites, which means they cooked. If we have a wave like we did Last week, it's over for them Republicans. And they're going to have to go to Donald Trump and tell him, you either going to quit or they're going to impeach you. So we finna see. If they can flip 4 seats, they can flip 4 seats. It is what it is. I know. We crying all the way. We crying all the way to when we can get revealed that your president is a pedophile. We going all the way, J.B. Jenkins. All the way.
But not surprising. So going forward, whenever somebody tells you that they're a Republican, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask, well, what wing of the Republican Party are you from? Are you from the Nazi wing? Or are you from the pedophile protector wing of the Republican Party? Perhaps they're partial to both. Who knows? Either way, these people are fucking sick, disgusting degenerates, and they are morally superior to no one, despite how morally superior they fucking act, right? And if you ever doubt whether or not it's possible for them to sink any lower, I can assure you they can go lower.
Go low. Here's my thing. Her attorney, just to clear people up. Attorney James's attorney claims that the father filled out the paperwork for his daughter, for him initially. He was the one who went in and applied. He went in and said for him, the wife and him. So the father applied for the wife and him for the house. He wanted to give Letitia James a start in life, so he put down him and his father, him and his wife. Father presented the paperwork to Letitia and she signed off. Didn't know that he had done that. So here's the thing, important things to remember. It's not publicly known exactly who filled out all the paperwork, either the loan officer or the father. Wasn't Letitia James, according to records, because their handwriting is not the same. Okay? That's what's currently known. We don't know whether the father intended to mislead or he simply filled out the information because it was just him who went in and did the information, who did the application fill out. Okay. So we have that according to Letitia James. People keep saying she said her father was her husband. The father went in and filled the paperwork out for her as a gift for Letitia James. Letitia James came up with the money and the father filled out the paperwork. Okay. Either way it go, it was a fatal mistake on her part. I can see where they have a case, but it's not a strong case, and it's not a case where a person gets a felony. Okay. It is what it is. So we have that in common. So wait a minute. I opened up. Let me see. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm finna open up the phone line. Y'all got a minute to call in. If your monkey ass don't call in, I'm not sticking around to figure out whether people gonna call in or they not gonna call in. Either you gonna call in. Okay. So that's the let me see. The phone line. Let me see. Here's the phone number. The phone number is in the file. The phone number is in the phone number is on the screen. Anybody want to call? Do they have any conversation? Do they have anything to say regarding this Trump Epstein files? We have, yeah. Anybody want to call about the Epstein files? Say anything about the files? Any of those things? Have a conversation. It is what it is. If you want a specific, respectfully change your mind over James. Letitia James. Yeah, I mean, I read the paperwork. Somebody in that family did whatever they did. Okay. Somebody did whatever they did. Okay. Hey, it's the dad, but it's not clear who filled the paperwork out. According to records, the father went there to fill out the paperwork first, and he did what he did. So maybe that's the whole point. But see, it doesn't negate the fact. See, here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether, and we're going to relate it to the Epstein files. It doesn't matter whether Trump wanted to get involved with Epstein and he just wanted to be friends with him. He still knew what criminal or creepy activity that Epstein was doing. Okay? It's still the fact that he knew about it. And that makes you even more of a creep because you were just as powerful as Epstein. And you could have blew the whistle, but you didn't. You went along with it. And according to several records, the president said, Epstein likes young girls, so do I. He likes young women just like I do. If that isn't a confession, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. And I don't understand why we keep getting this pushback. We keep getting this pushback from people saying, Donald Trump did X, Y, and Z. Yes, he is having an X, Y, and Z. It is an X, Y, and Z. I don't understand what's going on, but it is what it is. Okay? It's creepy all around. Whatever way you look at it, it's creepy all around. And I'm telling you where we at. This is where we at. Jahava signed a petition. The petition moved forward to the Senate. The Senate will vote on it on Tuesday. Donald Trump called for the investigation of every person that was mentioned in the email. These were emails that were released. Only emails were released that came from Epstein's estate. The files are a different thing. The files have to be voted on to be released. The Senate Republican and Democrats will vote on that release Tuesday. Ahead of that voting, Donald Trump called for an investigation, and because Pam Bondi is an arm of the president, instead of being an independent arm from any president or any kind of wrongdoing, she's doing his bidding, which means she's probably going to go to prison after Donald Trump gets out of office. So She's going to call it an investigation. She's going to call and say these things are under investigation. This weekend gives her a whole 4 or 5 days to pull paperwork together to make it a formal investigation. Once it's a formal investigation, that means the files can't be released related to whoever is named in her indictment. Check out how many people and things are named in that federal investigation. That's going to be key. Who is named in the federal investigation that DOG Pam Bondi is going to open up this weekend, Monday, ahead of that vote? Okay. So the vote happens on Tuesday. Overwhelmingly, we're going to give Democrats and Republicans cover to file, to open the files. But they know they can't open the files because Pam Bondi will have put those under investigation. And there's laws that prevent you from investigating or getting files if something is under investigation. Whatever is named in the document to be investigated will be to be probed and investigated will be under lock and key, and we won't be able to get the files. So therefore, the files won't be able to be released. But see, here's the thing. Are we going to have a growing, loud enough speaker to get them to release the files? No, Donald Trump. You got to release them. We ain't going nowhere until you release them. We ain't going. And in the meantime, Donald Trump is going to try to gaslight the American people. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. The Democratic terrorists, the Democratic lowlives, the Democrats have a hoax. They have a hoax. He's going to say that over and over and over and over and over again. So goofies in the chat believe him. They believe him now. They don't want to go and they don't want to admit that they lied. They don't want to admit that their president is a pedophile. So this is where we're at. But Donald Trump is a gaslighter extraordinaire. He's one of the most extraordinary gaslighters of our century, of our prime time, of our lifetime. He is what he is. And he has enthralled all of the maggots and half the Republicans. And some Republicans know what he is. So they're waiting for his downfall. They're praying for his downfall, but it's dwindling in numbers of his people that support him. So between now and the election in November 2026, he's going to be gaslighting you, gaslighting. It don't matter. These files don't matter. Democratic and all that goofy shit.
Call from
Black.
To accept, press 1.
Hello, Black.
Good. I'm about to say good morning. What's happening?
What's happening, bro? What's going on?
Oh, man. I cannot call it. You got the best hand. You feeling better?
Yeah, I have bronchitis. So it settled in my lung. So.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. I took medicine, kept trying to take medicine, kept doing Mucinex, Desinex, the pills, the liquid, the honey, the tea, all of that. It just
He doing all of it.
I'm doing all of everything.
So you just really hate that. HQ, let me ask you something. Do you think that your hatred for Trump may be like clouding your view at all? I understand he's a bad person. I don't like him either. I done told you that. But the way you have disdain for him is something special.
Donald Trump.
Do you think you dislike him to the point to where it could cloud your judgment?
It would be a different story if I was the only one. If you recall, I said this a year ago, maybe months ago. I've been saying it. Even when I was on SBC, I had been saying it. If you all recall, you go back, I was saying that he was a terrible human being. Did I not say that?
I dig it.
So
right, I think. I mean, we all think he's a bad person.
Right.
We all think he's a bad person.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I think it can come to a point where we hate somebody or dislike somebody so much that it clouds our judgment on that person.
But why do you
And I'm
think that?
asking you,
Why do you think this clouds my judgment? What have I said that was a lie?
well, for one, you keep if he was a pedophile, somebody he would have got the R. Kelly treatment. He would have got the Me Too treatment. He would have got one of those treatments that like those other people is what I'm saying. Especially because he's rich, he's powerful.
What other people?
Most
What
of
other
us,
people? What other people?
R. Kelly,
Black.
Weinstein. Yeah,
Weinstein.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All those people.
Weinstein,
All those
R.
people.
Kelly.
Somebody blew the whistle on those people.
And that's what I'm saying. When women have an opportunity to get something from a rich man, they take it, HQ. We have
Oh,
seen it time
no.
and
See,
time
you
again.
doing it again. You gaslighting
I'm
me.
doing what?
You gaslighting me.
How am I gaslighting?
We're talking about Donald Trump. We're not talking about why somebody else
Right.
didn't do X,
So,
Y, and Z.
so why?
We're not talking about why
My
somebody
thing is,
didn't do X, Y, and Z. We're talking about the fact that these are all the markers. Everything. What have you ever heard of the phrase "walk like a duck, talk like a duck, is a dog"?
yes.
Okay, so haven't we heard overwhelming evidence that he walks like a duck and he talks like a duck?
But you keep saying the word pedo, though, and that's where I kind of have a problem with it. With you saying pedo.
Here's the thing. How do you know he's not a pedo?
I do not know, just like you don't.
Here's
And that's
the thing.
all I'm saying.
You keep going in the chat. You went into the chat and you said some of those girls were 16 years old, which tells me you have a thought that being 16 is legal enough to have sex with a young girl. So why would you think? Why would you think that 16 is the least
That's
amount?
not what I said. That's what I said. It was legal. I didn't say that it was okay, HQ. I said it was legal.
But
I
why would you
actually
need to
looked
say
up
that though? Why would you need to say that?
because that's the legal age of consent.
But why would you say 16 is legal? Why would you feel the need to say that?
Because I looked it up.
Because you wanted some age clarification. Why would you need to have clarification under? Why would you need to have age clarification? Why would you need to have age clarification for a man who is 40 years old saying we us calling him a pedophile? Why would you need to look up the age of the girl?
I don't. Let me make this clear. I do not agree with what they did. Okay, but we don't know what Donald Trump did and who he was with. You see what I mean? That's all I want is proof. Now, if they said he was with a 15 or 16-year-old, then yes. But nobody has came up with any kind of proof to back that yet. No girl has came out of the closet. When things happen like this, look at Bill Cosby. When that happened to him, 100,000 women came out of the closet talking about Bill Cosby did this, that, and the other thing too. Nobody has came out against Donald Trump saying those things. That's all I'm saying, HQ.
See, this is when you have evidence on one side or the other. What evidence that says to you that he didn't do it?
You're innocent until proven guilty. This is America.
Right.
This is America. You can't.
So
you can't burn a woman at the stake.
So you're
I'm not
advocating for the
advocating.
release of the files so we can find out if he's guilty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really don't even care about him either way. I don't like him either way. It way before the file.
You just said that we need evidence that says he's guilty. So you're advocating for the release of the video, the audio that Epstein hid from everybody, all the tapes that Epstein got of people, the tapes, the videotapes, the audio tapes. You're advocating for all of those things to be released so we can find out that he's guilty or innocent.
If he's
Or innocent.
if oh, guilty or innocent, yes. Wait for the proof. That's
So
all.
we
That's
need the
all
proof.
I'm saying.
So
Because if
all
those girls are 18, if those girls are 18,
whoa.
and
What do you mean if they're 18?
if they're 18 and he's 60 years old, it doesn't matter, HQ. That's what I'm telling you.
So why would he be with 18-year-olds? Why would this be in it? Here's my question. Why would this be an issue for somebody? Why would this be an issue?
What do you mean?
Why would this be? I could definitively stand here in front of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 microphones and say, I have never slept with a person under the age of 18. I can definitively say that. I can stand here and say that till the cows come home. Somebody accused an HQ of sleeping with your underage boys, you are a goddamn lie. I will open up my whole life and ask you and let you run through it, and you will never find that HQ ever slept with a man that was under the age of 18. So this president is under this much scrutiny. Why can't he just do the same? If he's not in the files, why is it
I
that
believe
can't
he
do
is
the
in
same?
the files. I believe he is totally in the files. I believe that.
Okay, so
let's take this from a different angle.
So why
do you think that?
Why you keep fighting so hard for the other side then? If
I'm
you
not
believe
fighting
he's in
for
the
the other
files,
side.
if you believe he's in the file, why are you fighting so hard?
I'm not fighting either way. I just want to know definitively. You can't just put a jacket on somebody without them saying it or somebody else corroborating the story is what I'm saying, HQ.
See, you
That's
trying to
all I'm
ride the
saying.
fence.
I'm trying to what?
Ride the fence. You trying to ride the fence. On one hand,
no, I just believe that you're innocent until proven guilty.
On one hand,
you know how long they've been doing. Hold on, you know how long they've been doing this to black men, locking us up, and then we have the largest amount of exonerations because we didn't do it.
So why are you fighting so hard for us not to get to the files? I don't care whether they get the files. I don't want to know the truth. He can do whatever. Y'all ain't gonna find that out. What is this?
No, I don't. It's not going to change my opinion that he's a horrible person. You see, I'm already on your side with that he's a horrible person.
So why wouldn't you just be full throttled with let's get the investigation over with?
No, I am. Like I said, I don't care either way.
So you advocate for the files to be released. Okay, that's fine. I get all that.
Yeah.
We put that piece to the side. Why do you keep mentioning they got to be 16 years old?
Well, so the law in Florida, and I looked it up. Okay, so the law of Florida is 18 is the age of consent, but it is that 16 and 17 is also the age of consent if the person is 24 years or younger. So, which means that if it is a 16-year-old girl or a 16-year-old boy, and it's a 23 or 24-year-old person of the opposite sex, then it is nothing wrong with it. So what I'm saying is, like, there is no stipulation in that law in most states. Do you know that? And once again, I looked it up. We have 50 states, and 30 of the states, the legal age of consent is 16. That's all I was pointing out. HQ
Mm.
is the legal age of consent.
Well, I mean,
That's
you
it.
just looked this up. This is the first time you looked this up?
I mean, I looked it up a long time ago, but yeah, I looked it up to edify myself in it again to make sure that what I was saying is right. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that would make sense. That would make sense. But the thing is, there's a difference between a legal 16-year-old and sleeping with a legal 16-year-old legally, and then there's a moral thing when it comes to sleeping with a 16-year-old.
You can't use morality, HQ. Remember, because you said not to force our morals on anybody else when it comes to other things. So
No. This
start
is the
trying.
different thing. This is the different thing.
Oh! It's different now because it's
Yes.
girls. Is that
No,
what we?
it's different.
Is that why we?
It's different because it's universally condemned that that adults do not sleep with children. That's a universal thing. Everybody thinks that. Everybody thinks if you're a 60-year-old man, you don't sleep with an 8-year-old girl. Mostly everybody
Yes.
thinks that.
Yes. You're saying
but
8
not
years old.
everybody
HQ.
believes.
We all understand a 8-year-old.
Right.
That's a baby.
That's a universal.
We all understand.
Right.
We all understand that. But if I was to ask you, when did your grandmother or grandfather start having children? You would say 14, 15, and 16.
And I would have thought that was immoral then too.
But no, it wasn't immoral because it's
Yes,
been
it was
happening
immoral. It
since
was
the
immoral
world started.
It was immoral to me. It wasn't immoral to you. It was immoral to me. Okay? It was not immoral to you. It was immoral to me. Legally, it was okay. I'm saying there's a difference between legal.
So now legally it's okay.
I'm assuming it was. I don't know why the people got married when they were 16 and 14. I don't know about that. I'm just saying maybe it was legal back then. Maybe it was. I don't know. I don't know where. I've never looked it up where they were. My grandmother got married at 14, so I don't know whether it was legal.
Wait. So your grandmother got married at 14, as did mine. Once again, HQ, that was in this century. You act like it was so many hundreds of years ago. That was in the 1900s, HQ. It hasn't even been 100 years since that happened.
And I'm saying to you, legally, it might be okay. She might be 16 legally, but it's still not morally okay. That's what I'm saying.
Once again, you can't be the moral police.
I am not the moral police. That's not what I'm saying. You have to be the police of your own morality. You have to be the police of your own. Just like you believe abortion is. Hold on. Just like you believe abortion is a bad thing. I don't believe.
I do not. I believe abortions are okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just giving you opposite points.
Oh, for example,
you could be against abortion, and I can't be. It's a legal thing to have an abortion, but morally, you find it repugnant. Morally, I don't. Different things. Just because it's legal doesn't make it moral. That's all the distinction that I am making. Okay? Just because she's 16
once again,
doesn't mean it's morally okay.
For instance, I have a problem with people that are in the alphabet community. And you say nobody's worried about that. Yes, some of us straight men, yes, we are. We are repulsed by that.
That's your moral. That's your moral outrage going. That's all on you. I don't have that kind of moral outrage. Most people do.
Right. So your moral outrage is different, and it makes it better. That's all I'm trying to see. That's all.
I didn't say it was better or not. I just said we have two different moral codes. That's it. We have two. I can have a moral code just like you have one. That doesn't make mine right or wrong. It doesn't make yours right either. That's the point.
Right. So
we live in a society where there's 370 million human beings who have different of opinion. When you have this
Okay.
many people under a collective country, you cannot just look at you and say, hey, Black America thinks abortion is illegal, so we got to make it illegal all the way across the land. That's not how it goes, because I don't think it's morally wrong.
But it's not illegal all across the land, though.
No, I'm just giving you an example. I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Some people.
I just know that most people that are, progressive or liberal like you, they have denied women autonomy to their body. No, they didn't. They gave it to the state. If a state wants to allow it, then they still have it. If a state doesn't want to allow it, they all put it to a vote and they don't have it.
Okay, Black America, what if all the states say it's illegal?
It doesn't have anything to do with me.
Hold on. What if all the states say it's illegal? That means half of the country has been denied their rights. Half of the country do not have rights that should belong to them. If all of the states decide that it's illegal, if all of the states decide that it's illegal, they are effectively denying half the country their right to have an abortion. That means you're
okay. So, do you believe in majority rules?
No, it doesn't work that way in a country. It doesn't work that way with different moralities. It doesn't work that way.
Well, then why do we even vote then? What is our vote even good for if you don't believe that the majority of the people?
Your vote for because we don't have majority. We have electoral colleges, not the majority. Our country is not run that way.
I understand that. I understand.
So my representative has to represent every person in that state. Has to represent.
Yes. So what if you're the only outlier? Are they still supposed to go with what you think as a person and you're the only outlier?
I am the only person in this country that believes that abortion is just, then obviously that's an overwhelming point of people that say, no, we all want to get rid of it, and they obviously would get rid of it.
Okay, so it's something wrong with that.
But it's not always majority rule. But that's not the whole point that's on the table. Right now, Black America, the overwhelming majority of Americans believe abortion should be legal. 70% believe it should be legal. So now should we make it all illegal? Every state it should be legal? At this point,
it is legal.
No, it's not. It's legal.
What do you mean?
It's legal by the whim of one person. What was the example? The example to you was if every state made it illegal, you would be denying due process. You would be denying people's rights. In order for it to be a right or a denial for you and me, if you did not want to have an abortion, you find it morally repugnant, you never want it to happen, but I don't, and I find it perfectly reasonable, perfectly in line with my values and morals. If I'm not ready to have a child, right now it's on the state level where an individual can decide that it's not legal and they can deny me access. On a federal level, when it says,
I understand that.
So on a federal level, when it says abortion is illegal, where Roe versus Wade was legal across the land, it gave everybody the option to say, no, I don't want an abortion. Yes, I do want an abortion.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So now, currently, we have states that give abortions. We have states that don't give abortions. But what if the states, all of them, said nobody can have abortions?
Well, then that's because the majority of those people in those states said, hey, we do not want people to have baby deletion.
And I'm saying to you, more than half of the people in the states, that's just a caveat, but more, and that's just to explain to you that there's more people who say it's legal than it's not legal. Why is it that we
Is
don't?
that more
So why is
is
it
that
that we
more
don't have a legal?
Republicans or is that more Democrats?
That's Republicans and Democrats. So
Oh,
what?
okay. Well, then
So why?
it's
So why
still
is it
legal
that?
here in Vegas.
So why is it that they destroyed Roe versus Wade?
Well, because the white population, they are not producing children anymore. Their seeds have gone barren. White people aren't producing kids anymore, and the Mexicans are outbreeding them. So guess what? That they're scared it's going to turn them into a second-class citizen. That's why they're marching through the streets talking about you will not replace us. That's all that is, HQ. So if people can't have baby deletions, they said, hey, maybe we'll get a chance if we kick out all the Mexicans. Maybe we'll get a chance to be able to catch up. It's not that they think that it's so bad. They're making a play that they want to stay in power, and they know that in order to maintain power, they need to keep a certain amount of people, and they're not having that people.
Right.
They don't have a good replacement.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all of these women now of our race, they're not having children, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not having children. There's going to be nobody to hold your hand when you die. Plain and simple.
I understand I understand what you're talking about with them wanting to. This is behind the whole. Let's get rid of all the Browns and leave, because the Mexicans is fucking and eating, and that's all they doing is fucking and eating, and they outpace.
Right, and they're outpacing them.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's why they want to get rid of them. And I get that.
Because they're not having abortion.
Right. Right. Yes. So they're outpacing us, and because we were the top minority group, but the Mexicans outpaced us. That's why I'm saying it's so detrimental for them to try to get rid of the the Mexicans now, that those people are going to rise up, and they starting to rise up. Now they starting to see who is really trying to protect their party, who's really trying to see for their needs. But my thing is this. It's not legal on the federal level. It should be legal on the federal level.
Neither is weed, HQ, and they sell that in damn near every state except for probably.
But weed is not on the ballot. It's overwhelmingly across the country. Weed is only a small percentage of people who want it.
What?
Yeah.
Every state wants marijuana except for like Utah and Texas. Do they have weed stores in your city?
No. Oh yeah, I think so. I think they have stuff like vape or grape. What is that called? Vape. I think they have a.
Oh, so they don't have marijuana. Look, so marijuana is all over the United States now, but it's not federal. You can't. The money you make from your marijuana business, you can't take that money to a bank because the banks are backed by the FDIC. So you can't take that money and deposit it in a bank, HQ. Did you know that?
You said that. We'll say that again.
So marijuana, you can have a marijuana store like we have dispensaries here in Vegas, right?
Right.
But you can't use a credit card there because you can't. Credit cards are backed by like they're a federal thing, federally regulated.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't use credit cards at the dispensaries because marijuana is illegal federally. But it's all over. They have dispensaries all over the United States.
Yeah, and I said something wrong. I said that 88. You said that overwhelming Americans didn't want it to be legal because of whatever. But 88% wanted to be medically legal. 88% wanted to be medically legal in the United States.
Right.
But the government has to determine, does the benefits outweigh the negative effects? And so far, the government says the negative effects outweigh the benefits, so therefore it's not going to become legal on the ballot unless it does. It's state by state. If it's state by state, Why hasn't there been a bigger petition for this stuff to be legal on a federal level? I know they're not going to do that.
I have no idea. I know originally they outlawed hemp because of all of the medicinal purposes and the rope and everything that could be made from hemp and marijuana. The big industry went and lobbied so that it would be illegal. The tobacco industry, all of that stuff, they went and petitioned against it. But yeah, no, I didn't want nothing. I just want you.
I got you. I get it. Well, but that hemp thing is going to be another talk at a different day. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a whole big old. That's not just weed. That's other things and blah blah blah. So that's a talk for another day. So I thank you for calling. I thank you.
So I just don't want you. Just don't keep running with the pedophile stuff until you actually know. We know Donald Trump paid Stormy Daniels for sex. This man, he pays young, I guess, women for sex. That's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he did back then. That's what he did back then too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. He paid Stormy Daniels for sex. So
hey, look, listen.
It's no surprise. It's not a shocker.
Listen to this theory. Donald Trump and Epstein was good buddy, right? Good buddy. Donald Trump, Epstein went to prison. He was in prison in 219, right? He either took his own life or somebody gave him a dirt nap, right? Don't you think these people, don't you think that would make me hesitate to come forward if I knew that you gave your friend a dirt nap because your friend could tell on you and bring a story out? Don't you think that would scare me enough to keep me quiet?
No.
It would never keep you quiet. It would never.
I'm gonna tell you why. You look at the history of Me Too and what has gone on, HQ, and what is a saying that everybody uses. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. There's nothing to keep a woman's mouth closed when she wants to rear her head up and say shit. So once again, R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, all of these CEOs and any other high-powered men, they have all felt the wrath of women, HQ. Powerful men. They have all felt the wrath.
So you think that since women did not come forward, that they don't have any incentive to stay behind. There's no reason why they would not say anything. All these people over the years, I think they got paid. I think they got paid for sex. Let's put that to the side.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's put that to the side. Why do you think Ghislaine Maxwell has the cushy things that she got?
What are you talking about? In prison? What do you mean?
These are the things that she got. She was moved from a maximum security prison to the minimum. That never happened. That never.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
No, it don't. Unless you have a certain 20-year. You are. Wait a minute. Hold on.
You're talking to somebody who's been in the prison.
That don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. So you should be honest.
Oh shit.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I am.
She is one of the most prolific serial molesters of our time. She has more than 20 years to do. And you move her into a minimum security prison like they normally do to people who have light sentences or they're leaving the prison system soon enough. That's what they normally do. You're not a murderer or a child sexual predator person and you get put into a minimum security prison. They don't do that. Two,
Yeah. So you just
hold
said it
on.
right there.
Two, she has animals that she can take care of. They bring the animals in and she can talk, play with them, hold them, a dog. She has a dog in prison. I want a puppy in prison. I want my puppy brought to me. Bring me my puppy. She gets to call out and
people
get
have all
meals.
types of people.
What?
Do you know these niggas is making TikToks in jail right now and got cell phones and making videos and all types of stuff?
They got animals.
You know what people?
They got animals
These
too.
niggas got all type of stuff in
They got
prison.
animals too.
All type of stuff.
Now see here,
You're not hearing what
I
I'm
thought you
saying.
were gonna be honest with me. I thought you were gonna be honest.
I am. I'm telling you.
I thought you were gonna be honest. I didn't know you were gonna stretch it. I didn't know you was gonna stretch it. Hold on.
What do you mean? I'm not playing. They got weed and everything.
She got a dog in prison. She get to go to the internet and get on the internet, do all the perusing she want all day. A lawyer bring a laptop.
Niggas is on the internet in prison. I'm trying to tell you some good shit.
Yeah. Sneaking a cell phone and having the warden bring you a laptop so you can peruse the internet, two totally different things.
No, so it's a nigga that cook. Like seriously, it's a nigga that cook in prison, and he has a whole like YouTube channel with hella subscribers and followers, and he's getting a bunch of views. He be cooking right in prison. They know who he is. He show his face and everything.
So
I'm trying to tell you.
So you're saying that this is normal standard procedure that this happens in prison?
Yes, especially for a non-violent criminal. Yes, a non-violent criminal.
She's not a non-violent criminal. What are you talking about?
If they haven't smoked somebody, I
thought you were gonna be honest with me. I thought you were gonna be honest. Sometimes you be disingenuous, but I thought you were gonna be honest about this. This is not normal behavior in prison. Every person does not have a damn YouTube channel. That person is being supported by.
I didn't say everybody.
Supported by the warden. That person.
I didn't say everybody. What it is you don't know because you ain't seen. I seen these niggas. I got guys that come in and out of prison, and I talk to them all the time.
You made it seem as though this is normal, standard behavior that people will be able to get on the internet and do their thing. Be on the internet, have a cooking channel, be able to access laptops, be able to do all that.
Ask Ty. Ty over there, ask him.
Wait a minute, but you said one distinction. You said that it would be non-violent offenses.
Yes.
The person is not a non-violent person. That's not a non-violent conviction.
What? Yeah, it is.
She's getting things. She did not get these things until she was moved to this prison where she's at. She didn't get that over there.
Because
over there.
So let me explain to you. You have the USP, you have a SCI, and then you have a count, right? So the U.S. penitentiary is the maximum penitentiary. Then you have a SCI where everything is kind of lax. And then you have a count where, you get under like, when you get to like 10 years, maybe 5 to 10 years, and you going home. So when you're in the FCI and the count, it's not like you're in the USP because everybody is just there. They doing their time and they chilling.
I mean, you got to say high, medium, and low penitentiary.
Okay, So the penitentiary is high, the SCI is medium, and then the count is low.
So she went from a SCI having a high
to a count
to that
No,
doesn't happen.
she went from a
She has 20
penitentiary.
plus years. She has 20 plus years to do. That don't happen.
Right.
So why did
it
it happen?
does, HQ, because if you are on good time, let me explain to you now.
Just
If
went
you
to
are on good time,
prison. She just went to prison.
Has she been in prison more than 2 years?
Yeah. Yep.
How many years she been in prison?
I don't know. She went after Epstein. She went after him, and he died, I think, in 2019. I'm not sure. So I think she went sometime after that. So I know.
Right. So if she hasn't had any problems in prison and she's served more than 2 years, yes, they will reduce her not her sentence so much, but they will reduce where she's staying.
And that wasn't. That's not the case.
I promise you.
That's not the case.
I promise you. I promise you, HQ. I was in Lone Pond Federal Penitentiary, one of the worst prisons. The average sentence is 43 years. I went to the count, and then I went to the boot count. So yes, it absolutely does happen. I am a living testament of it. People used to roll by and throw weed over the fence. I used to get to ride horses in prison, HQ. We used to get, when I got to the count.
When you, the rule of thumb is several factors. You said good behavior, time served, program completion, nonviolent history, reclassification review. She hasn't been there long enough. She hasn't been there.
If she's been there over 2 years, she's occurred good time. So yes, she has been there long enough. I'm just telling you what.
Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. She was in a minute. She is one of the most prolific sex criminals of our time. And they gonna give her minimum security?
You want to know something, HQ? And this is gonna probably blow your hair off your head. When it comes to crimes of sex, especially for white people, they don't see that as a violent crime. When to us, it's one of the worst things that somebody can do to another person. They just call it assault. That's how people with rape I'm sorry about that. That's why when people take a woman or something like that, that's why they only get 4 and 5 years. When you have people that selling drugs, a nonviolent crime, selling drugs is a nonviolent crime, you get 10, 20, 25 years, 50 years for selling drugs. But as far as taking somebody like that, HQ, the white people don't see that as a violent crime at all. That's why when people do rape women, they don't get a lot of time. That's why when these guys be touching on these little kids, they don't get a lot of time, HQ, because they don't see that as a violent crime. You can look it up to where you're satisfied satisfied about it, but they don't see that as a violent crime. I promise you. Look up the average year of somebody doing great versus when I went to prison. We had a 10-year minimum mandatory on crack. On crack, we had a 10-year minimum mandatory. HQ, I had heroin. It was 25 to life on my heroin charge, HQ.
Okay.
I'm not telling you something I don't know. I'm telling you something that I lived through. You maybe you don't know what the 90s was like, But the 90s, it was serious. They was giving people football numbers. I'm talking about all day, every day. They was giving us a lot of time back then.
So this person, this Ghislaine Maxwell, what was it? Several days after Trump, his lawyer came to visit her, she was transferred to a minimum security prison. See, this is what I mean by if you walk like a duck, talk like a duck, you are a duck. If all of these circumstances, happen and you get a certain result, and they're there. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. Oh, it was just a coincidence that she does. I don't believe in that.
Right.
Couple days after Trump's lawyer visited her, she got these perks. Now she has an animal in the cell with her. Now she gets to be on the internet whenever she wants to. She gets to have visitors when she wants to in the middle of the night, in the middle of the afternoon. It doesn't matter. She can have visitors when she wants to. She can call out and get certain food, and they got to bring certain food to her.
HQ, they do all of that in prison. They do all of that in prison, right? HQ, Lonnie Anderson. When I was in prison, the owner of the LA Kings. It's a hockey team. I was in prison with him. Lonnie Anderson. It used to be so many stars coming in and out of there all the time. HQ. It's nothing like what you think. I promise you. It's not. It's not you sitting around breaking boulders or hard time anymore. Prison is not like that anymore.
So you're saying all this information that went with Ghislaine Maxwell, her being transferred to a minimum security prison, her getting her getting dogs and pets to deal with, her getting food whenever she wants, her getting visitors whenever she wants, her getting access to the internet and all that, that's normal operating procedure for these type of people. That's what you're saying?
I'm saying nowadays, yes, that's a normal. Like I said, if you don't believe me, ask Ty Pro. Ty Pro is on all of the internet stuff, and he'll tell you he's probably always seeing niggas shooting live from different prisons. And I'm talking about different prisons all over the United States. It's not just one prison. It's a bunch of different prisons all over the United States.
See, that's the thing. I don't believe it's a coincidence that happened with her. You believe it's a coincidence. I don't believe it's a coincidence.
I don't believe it's a coincidence, but I do know how the system works. When you're a high profile person, you get treated better. HQ, one thing that you and I both know is she still has a whole lot of goddamn money. We know that. She was rolling around with Super Pedo, all of those.
You believe it's just but you believe it's a coincidence. I believe
I don't. I believe
she's being treated.
I believe she's a high profile. I believe she's a high profile prisoner, and people like that. Some of the mafia people was in there with me. They had visitors every day. And we could only get visitors on Sunday. They would have visitors any time of day.
So why is it that she's getting this treatment now and she wasn't getting that treatment before? She wasn't getting this treatment before. Now, after a day, after she visits Donald Trump lawyer visits with her, she gets all these perks.
Okay, let me see when she went to prison. Let me look it up.
She gets all of these perks.
Yeah, if she's in the camp or the SCI, yes, you get those type of perks. Thank you. I know you don't think it's right or regular or whatever, but once again, I have loads of friends that are incarcerated, and they could call me right now. They be doing
2020. Her release date. She went to prison June 2022.
Okay, so she's been there more than 3 years. Just like I said, if she's been there more than 2 years, she can get her, and hasn't had any incidences. She can get her situation moved. That's how it happens. That's why I said, has she been there more than 2 years? I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll take.
You know.
We'll go
Yeah,
along
but
with it because we can't prove it otherwise. But we don't believe. We don't.
yeah,
I
you
don't believe
ain't
in
got no. Huh?
I don't believe in coincidence. You didn't do all of that. I don't believe you went. I didn't believe you. I don't believe you. Deserve to be moved over like that specifically because I get time served, good behavior. I get all of that program. I get all of that.
Right.
Man, but do a minimum security prison?
When is the release date?
At 37.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's only like 10 or 12. That's only 10 or 12 years. That's not a long time.
Yeah, her release date is 37. So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's not
Well,
even a long time.
we gotta think about it a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, it could be something else. We don't know. We gotta think about it a little bit more. At least I do. But I appreciate you coming up because y'all hit the like button and all that good stuff. Good talk, Black America. Good talk.
All right, I'm finna go to bed, man.
I gotta look at
I'll
the
let
prison
y'all.
thing again. I gotta look at the prison thing again. Maybe we don't know.
Yeah, like I said, ask Ty. Ty tell you niggas is sending all type of flicks from prison.
Okay.
Busting down the guards and everything.
That's crazy. That's wild. Thank you.
Niggas be doing the most, man.
They be doing the most. Thank you, sir.
They be doing too much. All right.
Thank you. He's wild. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is wild. This is where we at. So I don't believe in a coincidence, but it is what it is. He says these things can happen. He says these things could have happened to Ghislaine Maxwell. She could have had good behavior, had a program to complete, no history of violent behavior. She could have had any of these things and it could have got her moved down to where she was. But it doesn't deserve for her to have her sentence commutated or reduced to whatever, or her pardon. And the president might do that. If she gets pardoned, then he's in those files. And he's in those files really ugly. According to the files, according to email, Donald is not a nice guy. Now, why would somebody need to say that in the files, in the emails, if he's such a nice guy? You all make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and share button, and turn on all the notifications. So when I go live again, you guys will be there to answer the call. Please and thank you. Do all of that. I appreciate all of you. I do. We will be back tomorrow sometime in the afternoon, and then we might be back that evening. I don't know, but just keep the notifications on. And when I'm live coming over, we might have some more interesting things. Like I said, the development is we're going to see if Pam Bondi puts all of these people under investigation. And when people start to ask for the investigation, ask for the files, because they're going to say they want them released. When people start asking for the files, she's going to pull they're under investigation bullshit. So she won't have to release them. Somebody told Trump to start asking for it to be investigated. Once it's investigated, they cannot be released. The files cannot be released. So that is where we are. Please put in the chat what the big beautiful bill has done for you as a between 30 and 150K person. I would like to know. Nobody has come up with anything substantial. As I stated, when you say, well, we got taxes on overtime is for the itemized deduction on the taxes. It's not for the standard deduction, and most people take the standard deduction, so that doesn't mean anything. Taxes on tips doesn't mean anything, or taxes on overtime. That's just goofy shit. So please put in the chat what has been done. Please put on the like, share, subscribe buttons. We will be back tomorrow afternoon sometime to do some more content, depending on what it is. I love it. This is HQ, and I will see you all because we are out. It is late. It is time to go. We're going to do our thing tomorrow. Please show up tomorrow. Put on the notification.